divine beasts. They possessed the power to shake the heavens and earth. They had no mercy when killing magical beasts. But despite this, they were noble creatures who were the peace and blessing of the earth. However, 100 years ago, the now deceased human king, Tigris Colisars, wanted to increase the number of divine beasts. During the experiments, many of them died. After this, the descendants of the deities renounced their origin and power. Thus, the last divine beast, Lionel Millard, remained on the current earth. Joyful children's conversations can be heard in the yard. They ask if a man can turn into a tiger. Everyone has known for a long time that the man standing before them is the last divine beast on earth, Lionel Millard. The boys beg him to show them at least once how he becomes a tiger. The man pats one of the children on the head and replies that it is his secret weapon, so no. Here we see the main character. She thinks that he is popular with children. Then a very cheerful girl appears and asks Hannah if she has seen that handsome guy. She also adds that Amirea looks like a wrinkled pumpkin against his background. The main character makes a remark that she behaves very rudely, but she doesn't care. What difference does it make if neither Amirea nor Lionel are hers? Hannah then replies that she would not be interested in hearing the gossip she has learned. This immediately attracts the attention of the pink-haired girl. It turns out that Amirea bought a bouquet of roses today to ask Amelia out on a date, but she promised to help Aunt Elizabeth in the stables this evening. The main character agrees to replace her, but tomorrow she will do whatever she is told. Two girls were satisfied. Only one is going on a date, and the other is going to work. Granny says they are so noisy. Hannah seems to like Amelia a lot. She is so cute. Elizabeth pours a bowl of soup and asks to pass it on to the new guest. This is the same divine beast that the main character meets for the first time. He asks with a grin if she works here. The girl answers simply briefly and clearly with a simple nod. The man holds out a gold coin. He needs to know something. The main character can't believe it. She tests it for strength. Is it real? After which he answers as much as he wants. There are no other visitors anyway. Lionel is looking for a companion who could go on a trip with him for 2 months. He must be selfless, have good moral principles, and lastly be able to keep his word. Does he really think it's easy to find someone with such demands? Then Hannah asks, does he really need someone from here? He can take anyone he trusts with him. The appearance of the divine beast suggests that she asked a rhetorical question. The main character flips the coin back with a slight movement. This confuses the man. She returns it to him because she can't take money for something that didn't help. This creature's eyes are truly not like those of an ordinary person. Lionel wonders what about her. Is she busy? The girl replies that she has a lot to do. The man laughs. If she was going to lie, she should have at least changed her facial expression. Hannah turns around sharply. For a moment her heart fluttered. He looks even more handsome with a smile. But she still sticks to her opinion that no means no. All that remains is to wish him luck in his search. Hiya rake, and the main character is working again. She finally finished, but it was quite late. Hannah pets Dorothy's horse and asks, "It's better to be clean, right?" The horses changed their behavior very quickly and began to panic. Something strange is happening. The main character can't figure out what's gotten into the horses. And then suddenly one of the animals manages to jump out and escape. It's Dorothy. The girl only has time to stretch out her hand. She begs him to come back. She got into a lot of trouble, but she also got a lot. The main character went out into the forest and started shouting the horse's name. If she doesn't find it, it will be very, very bad. But it wasn't quite the one she was looking for who responded. In the darkness, she saw the amber eyes of a tiger. The atmosphere immediately changed, and the girl's face darkened. But surprisingly, he didn't intend to attack or do anything. The wild animal simply turned around to go back into the deep, dark forest. Hannah sits down on the ground, exhausted. She needs to calm down. If you remember this is Lionel's ability, then there's nothing to be afraid of, right? To make sure of this, she addresses him by his full name. But this doesn't answer her question. Nothing happens. The girl doesn't know what to do. He was a human just recently. Maybe he's just more comfortable being a tiger, since he was one originally? Finally, the main character notices things scattered everywhere. She asks herself, aren't these the clothes Lionel was wearing? Come to think of it, he said that the image of a tiger was his secret weapon. Could something serious have happened? Hannah starts screaming, trying to get through to him and find out the truth. There is a medallion lying next to her. It gives off a barely noticeable light. The divine beast suddenly becomes aggressive. He orders not to touch it. The main character does not understand what he is talking about and accidentally touches the stone, because of which a blinding shine appears. It looks like she's in trouble again. Magical shackles appear on her hand, and they gradually take shape. The same thing happens to the tiger. A collar appears on his neck. Now the two of them are bound by chains that cannot be easily broken. Finally, the girl can come to her senses. What happened to her now? The first thing she saw was a naked and very angry young man. It looks like she just did something bad without realizing it. The man grabs his head, and she understands everything perfectly well, but that's not what he meant. She can't even touch this strange thing, much less feel it or take it off. But they'll talk about that later. First, he definitely needs to get dressed. What Hannah touched was a magical relic created by an ancient royal family. They created it to keep the divine beasts in check. The most important question is, why is she now connected with her? She is the next person to touch the relic after him. Therefore, the necklace took her for the owner of a worthy divine beast. He originally planned to reach the place where he could seal the relic, the lightning-throwing rhodium. And so, he needed to find someone who could help him break the spell and end this matter. The girl thinks that such important things can only be entrusted to trusted people. But Lionel doesn't think so. There would be appropriate business relations here, if friendly ones. Well, since that's how it happened, he asks the name of the person opposite him. They answer him. The man gets down on one knee. He is Lionel Millard and wants to ask for something, or rather, to accompany him on his journey to Rhodium, which throws lightning. But the main character doesn't really like this idea. Tiger doesn't understand. Wasn't he tempting enough? Well, if so, he's ready to provide everything. Clothes, food, shelter, basic needs, including returning home after sealing the relic. And of course, she will be given a monetary reward. And also, if the girl is not interested in using the man's strength, she can use his body as she pleases. Hannah asks again, and then the divine beast decides that this is exactly what she wanted. Since she's captured Lionel Millard himself, he can do whatever she wants. He's very good at it, actually. The main character feels disgusted. Who would even think of asking for something like that? Her similar face did not convince the young gentleman who was in love with her. The first thing she decided to ask for was to return Aunt Elizabeth's horse. Then the man lifts his head up to look around. He concentrates and can use his sense of smell to sense who is nearby. Hannah runs in the direction the divine beast indicated. They will discuss the rest along the way. Little by little, the chain begins to disappear. The magic seems to break into small fragments. That's why the main character thought that the spell had broken. But it's not that simple. They disappear for the convenience of the owner. The chain will be annoying if you see it all the time. It's already deep night. Beautiful stars have appeared in the sky. Lionel looks away and says that the mare probably won't like it if he approaches her. Does he really mean to say that the horses went wild because of him? It wasn't intentional. The animal is very sensitive to smells. Maybe she already realized. Now the girl can order him to do whatever she wants. Does she really have that much power? She'll tell him to die, and he'll die. The divine beast's gaze became murderous. He doesn't know, but they can check. Hannah says, "Don't pry." She just asked out of curiosity. A man should obey his master, so he will be careful in the future. Well, it's not all that bad. At least he quickly admitted his guilt. Their long and difficult journey will begin tomorrow. They need to prepare. It's good that the decision was made so quickly. And here, Dorothy was alive and well. The main character was so worried that tears welled up in her eyes. Tiger became serious again. Despite the fact that she can now do whatever she wants with him, she's still so glad she found some horse. He's partly glad he didn't have to kill one. The events take place the next morning. Everyone is already gathered. The man asks if she wants to cry goodbye. Hannah replies that she plans to come back. Besides, they have to walk to the capital, and he is in no hurry, and he doesn't even want to ride a horse. Lionel thanks her for agreeing. She could have said that it wasn't her problem. You can't buy bread for thanks, and you can't buy kindness for that either. So he'll reward her in full when they get to La Blante. That's it. They finally got going. The man thought about it for 2 months, but in one day they would walk as much as he could. The girl looks at him intently with some displeasure. They have very few things with them. It's just for her convenience. Tiger is going to hunt nearby. Would she mind some meat? Apparently she liked the idea very much. Meat is always appropriate. There is one very good option for spending the night at Lionel's. You only need Hannah's consent. With an unwavering gaze, he asks if there is anything warmer than his fur. The main character asks a counter question. Does he really want to tell her to rip his fur off? The man meant that he could turn into a tiger and sleep in an embrace. But there is no other choice. He will have to buy some tent in the nearest village. They lit a fire and put the meat in there to cook. Since this is the first day, the girl's legs don't hurt so much. Lionel hands the main character this delicacy to try. She thanks him and wishes him bon appétit. The man jokes he hoped that she would sit opposite him. Hannah pretends not to hear, although the words make her feel embarrassed. She hesitates a little at first, but still decides to ask for something. By the way, could he become a divine beast again for a while? The man smiles, but she can try to order him with the help of the relic. But the main character doesn't want this. Could there be other reasons? She is not his owner, so she will not give orders. Again, that look penetrating to the bone, looking into the soul. The girl says that it is really very tasty. He also needs to try it quickly, before it gets cold. Lionel wipes the dirt off her face, glad she liked it. The main character looks very happy. It seems that everything is not as bad as she thought. They sat and talked for a long time. And the man kept thinking what a wonderful companion he had found in you. So it was early morning. The first obstacle they had to overcome was the river. Second, already in the evening, a steep mountain. All this time the young man helped Hannah with all his might. Finally they reached some small house. The girl was so tired that she immediately plopped down on the carpet. Lionel praises her and asks her to rest for now while he goes hunting. He takes off his clothes to turn into a tiger. Wouldn't she like to see? The embarrassed main character turns away. She doesn't understand why he's there. She undresses. When he left, the girl thought really she shouldn't rip his clothes every time. The man returned on a dark night when the sun had long since hidden behind the horizon. The main character was sleeping, but she was woken up with her eyes closed. She asks if he is now in the form of a tiger. Lionel makes a growling sound. The only thing is, he's not fully dressed. This time there were rabbits. The girl really likes rabbit meat. No matter what anyone says, this man is truly incredibly handsome and also has a pumped-up body. He noticed the main character's intense gaze. Now she doesn't turn away. She replies that beauty must be seen often and up close. These words make the divine beast feel desired again. He warns that it is better not to tease him, so they will end it here. The girl will be more careful in future, but he must be careful because she won't be able to stop him. Can't she command the relic? That's right, that's one way too. But no one knows who will win in the fight between him and these miserable chains. The main character became even more confused. He himself told her yesterday to give the order. The relic certainly has great power. It was not created by the royal family for nothing. However, no one knows if it has enough magic to completely enslave him. Hannah decides to ask again. If he wants, he will be able to destroy the shackles of the relic. Most likely, it was made in ancient times when its relatives were still alive. If we're talking about a potential threat to her, she's not afraid at all. Such a relationship is ideal for the purposes of the divine beast. Tomorrow they have to get up early again, so they need to prepare everything in the evening. The man is about to check out the girl. He lifts up his jacket. A huge shadow appears above her. You can guess what happened. The main character is very surprised when her name is called. She immediately realized that he was now in the form of a tiger. The divine beast himself allowed her to look at him. Hannah is in anticipation. She finally saw what she wanted so much. Does she like it? The girl was very surprised. At first, her eyes widened. Because of this, the tiger thought that she was now very scared. Well, it turned out to be quite the opposite. She was delighted. How cute. Lionel certainly didn't expect such a reaction, so he was surprised. Hannah walks around him and asks a lot of questions like, "Are your pads pink? Can he do anything cute? Can a tiger give you a paw if you ask?" Her heart can't take such a cutie anymore. She needs to calm down, or at least pretend to. She actually loves the cat family. They are all so adorable. Tiger sighs. If this continues, she will mess around with him all night. He takes the initiative and pulls the girl closer with the help of his tail. The main character finds herself in the arms of a divine beast. Lionel. He seems much warmer than the fire. He won't kill her, right? Although even if he did, she doesn't regret anything. And also the fur on the belly. It's so soft and nice. Now he understood. She perceives him as an ordinary tiger. They are a divine being, no more like an ordinary cat. What the girl is doing now is the same as if she were touching his stomach in human form. But it doesn't bother her much, so why corrupt everything like that? Lionel is a little disappointed. What can I say? It's obvious that she has no intentions. The main character carefully strokes the divine beast. It seems like he hasn't felt this way before. He really likes it. Something strange is happening here. Hannah even closed her eyes. And that's it. The man took on his human form again. What she did, that's what's called real debauchery. A new day has dawned. Everything around looks so calm. The girl wakes up and asks herself if the blanket was always this soft. Having come to her senses a little, she realizes that it is again the pleasant fur of a tiger. The divine beast greets her with good morning. It seemed to be able to shrink at any convenient moment. Thanks to it, Hannah slept well. The tiger stretches out his tail. Yesterday, the girl really wanted to touch it. Yesterday, he didn't allow it, only because it was time to sleep. The main character feels a little awkward, so she refuses, saying that she doesn't want to anymore. Now it's better to get down to business, or more precisely, go wash up. It looks like the man's warning from yesterday worked, which makes him happy. The girl thought only after she had prepared everything. Does he even eat vegetables? But if you remember, he ordered soup at the guest house, so everything is fine. Hannah thought so, because a predatory animal in nature. Lionel sits down at the table and interrupts his companion. She seems to perceive him as an ordinary tiger. No need to do this anymore. The main character understands this, but she cannot control herself, so she has nothing to say in response. The man smiles and wishes her bon appetit. One thought haunted the girl, causing internal anxiety. Can a human and a divine beast have a child? Theoretically, it is possible. Divine beings are a mixture of gods, humans, and intelligent animals. He wonders why she cares about such things, but Hannah replies that the question was purely for scientific purposes. In the past, there were many divine beasts that married humans. Because of the difference in life expectancy, the end was sad, but despite this, they were still happy. This girl piqued the interest of the unwavering divine beast. That's why he also wants to ask an uncomfortable question. Does she have a boyfriend? The main character shook her head. No. Well, that's what Lionel thought. She didn't really expect that. She thought he wasn't interested in such trivial things. Is it really true? If she guessed, then how unexpected must be the question about the possibility of having children. The main character was caught, but she still tries to justify herself. The man understands everything, of course, she paraphrased. In order not to aggravate the situation, he changes the subject. They set off again, on a journey that would take the whole day. It's so quiet all around. Not a single bird can be heard. It must be because of Lionel. And yet, they carry out their daily plans. They walk and walk. It turns out that she is absolutely out of shape. The man notices that something is wrong and asks if she finds it difficult to walk. Hannah answers, but no, she just got a small blister. Will she be able to reach the next stop? If not, they can rest here. The girl refuses. There is still so much to go through. She cannot afford to give in to weakness now. She is very strong in spirit and is not going to complain that it is hard for her because she agreed to it herself. The divine beast thought she would whine and complain all the time. It was easier for him, of course, but was it okay to leave her like this? He warns her that if she gets tired, she should tell him right away. There's no point in being stubborn. Now night had come. They reached some cave. The main character gradually takes off her shoe, and you can see blood. She was sure she had a blister, but it looked much worse. Lionel says that in the next village, they will buy a more suitable and comfortable pair of shoes. In the meantime, she needs to keep her legs still and not move. He will apply the medicinal herb that they found. The man takes it into his mouth and begins to chew it thoroughly. Looking at his face, the heroine is at a loss. Will he inflict it? The realization made her feel sick, and her face darkened. She thought it would be something more magical. The tiger spits out the chewed plant and asks to give him a leg. Well, the main character has no choice. Is his drool special because he is a divine beast? Lionel says that's not the point. It was there for stickiness. Hannah looks unhappy and a little irritated. Then it turns out that she could have chewed it herself. The man smirks, and it's true, there's nothing to hide. He sighs heavily, as if he did it on purpose. Well, that's it. The young man is finished. And now the most important thing. The divine beast carefully lifts his pant leg to reveal part of his leg. He starts to move his fingers, massaging. The girl melted in his arms. It was hard to refuse. The man is really very good at this. She asks how he feels about the idea of opening a massage parlor. Lionel feels something strange, but that's enough for him. He tries so hard that it's really hard not to stare at him. He deliberately seduced Hannah from the very beginning. If she doesn't respond to his wiles, they won't be able to get any closer. It's just the price for him to take her to the capital. The main character addresses him by name. Does he want to open up? The divine beast asks her again if she really wants this. In fact, the girl was thinking about giving in to temptation. Lionel looks a little embarrassed, but is forced to decline. But if she wants to share something intimate, then he will listen carefully. Hannah is not going to give in to his charms. It would be wrong. The main character got very angry, so much so that she threw a sleeping bag at him. The man knows well how to get out of an important conversation. It's good that they initially drew a line between themselves. She perceives everything that goes beyond what is permitted as payment for the trip. They moved on. The tiger decided to tell more about the relics. Each one he found he gave to the elves in Rhodium for safekeeping. It turns out that only they can seal relics. Someone else might be able to seal them, but only elves have the power of pure magic, at least for now. So, no matter how much he didn't want to, he had to leave the relic with the chief elf, Elikiel Escott. The girl decides to ask, did elves and divine beasts not get along with each other before? The man says that there used to be a lot of disagreement because their boundaries crossed. That's not the case now. It had been a long time since he had had a chance to remember his past. The same topics of conversation about hired workers. The main character is glad that she was able to liven up the conversation. Lionel thinks, damn, he just wanted her to take her mind off the pain in her leg, and ends up taking care of him again. The man seemed to understand where the awkwardness was coming from. He guessed, but he could only believe that it was because of a complete lack of interest in him. Tiger doesn't want to brag, but usually all the girls had feelings for him. But with her, he got the most attention while in his real form. Each time it becomes more and more interesting. I wonder her indifference. Where did it come from? The man asks if there is a specific reason why she does not have a lover. Is she really not interested in relationships or men at all? Hannah replies that it's not about that. She would like to date a nice guy too. She doesn't have the same fantasies as Emily, of course. Lionel is trying to hint that if she wants, then she can start at any time. Or is there some problem? The main character's gaze becomes empty and frightening. Everyone has their own cockroaches in their head. And Hannah is even more unpredictable. The divine beast understands that she does not want to answer. It is worth changing the topic of conversation. Speaking of him, in his case, it is difficult to find a partner even if you really want to. One of the reasons is life expectancy, and secondly, it can be difficult for a man to figure out whether she really needs him or just as a trophy. The main character's size, being beautiful, is a real problem. Did she really think he was handsome? That was a very strange reaction. He thought the girl wasn't even looking at him. But she's not blind. Although alas, Lionel is not her type. And there are many more attractive people in the world than him. The girl only now realized what she said. He won't let her touch his paws later. So she adds, there is a difference between just beautiful and super beautiful, isn't there? If every family had a Lionel, the world would be a much better place. It looks like she managed to somehow get out of the situation. The divine beast can truly be considered a wonderful conversationalist. He picks up the topic on the fly and doesn't get stuck. Also, with him, you don't have to pretend to be a socialite. It's very convenient. If he continued that conversation, she would be exhausted. Just listening to it would take so much energy. This is certainly not bad, but it can easily become tiresome. If everything goes well, they just both need to watch their tongues. Otherwise, they might hurt each other. Conversations between people can be energy-consuming. If he doesn't listen to them, they can get offended and say everything because he is a divine beast. There's that face again. They seem to be just trying to find support in it. The man realizes that the main character's mood has changed dramatically. He even stopped in surprise, and the girl went forward. As if nothing had happened, she turns around with a smile and asks if something happened. Lionel looks at her in bewilderment for a moment longer, after which he smiles and pretends that everything is fine. This is the reason why Lionel lives in the human world. The last divine beast, Lionel Millard, was someone who was impossible to understand for everyone. He who is not a man cannot connect his life with people. The man has lived alone for too long. It is difficult to imagine how great his loneliness is. But there's no point in Hannah feeling guilty about it either. All she can do for him now are just gestures like these. The main character touches his shoulder and looks away. It's just that his arms are so muscular, you just want to touch them. The young man's smile was so bright, but she was not as blind as he thought. The girl hopes that this modest gesture will become at least some consolation in his loneliness. They finally reach the village. This is great news. The main character is very happy. Now she can sleep on a spacious, clean, soft bed and pillow. She will be able to sleep without insects and also feel the warm water in the bathroom. Wash yourself and tidy yourself up. Oh, and the delicious food that others will prepare for them. And yet the man understands that she was uncomfortable, even though she kept silent about it. Now she has the happiest expression on her face he has seen in the last few days. At the hotel, they were told that they only had one room left. It's designed for 2 people, so MS should be fine. Lionel is about to agree because he is worried about the girl and his legs, but she stops him. This is a tactic used when they want to put a girl and a guy in the same room. It's very easy to explain. If you fill all the one-room apartments, then when a person comes alone, you can foist a 2-room apartment on him. Hannah is well informed because she did it herself in a guest house. This woman seems to enjoy watching Lionel's reactions. Well, time to turn on the actress. When they leave to find another hotel, they are stopped. The woman remembered that they had another free room. She would show them right away. The main character shrugs her shoulders. She really does have good skills. The man asks, is she so reluctant to sleep together? It would have been possible to use a 1-room apartment for security purposes, but since she decided so, Hannah asks the opposite question. Who would dare touch the companion of Lionel Millard himself? But people can be much more reckless than she thinks. The girl refused because she saw that she was clearly pulling their leg, and that was all. Besides, he doesn't want to make a fuss about himself, does he? Does she really mean that if it weren't for the gossip, they would have agreed to sleep in the same bed? The man walked her to the door while she was resting. He would go and buy shoes. Hannah pretends to be dying and asks to buy some new clothes as well. After some time, a knock is heard at the door. The main character allows entry. This is that woman she came to apologize. It completely slipped her mind that this room was free. The girl says that everything is fine. She is just glad to have the opportunity to relax alone. If they are having dinner, they can go downstairs. They have the most delicious baked chicken today, free for them. The main character says that she will discuss this with her companion later. A little later, a man is advertised a pair of boots, where the leather is of decent quality. Well, of course he chose them. A lot of people gathered to see the unusual handsome man who had never been seen there before. His next trip was to a clothing store. He looked at the beautiful dresses and spent a long time choosing. Then I went to the vegetable department to collect some food supplies. He looks happy. Now we can go back. But then his came is interrupted by a young man. He asks Lionel Millard, who was that girl next to him? And everything is as usual. 25 again. No preludes, straight to the questions. Well, it was time to get used to this kind of attention, but it was so disgusting. What is he doing here with that young girl? She looks like a very ordinary girl. Should he answer such tactless questions? Honestly, it's so tiring. Is there a person who doesn't know him? Everyone always wants and demands something. Autographs, attention crowds requests. He used to take it as interest and praise. The reason he felt comfortable talking to Hannah was because she was somewhat indifferent. Remembering this, her divine beast became embarrassed, causing a blush to appear. He told the others that it was time for him to go, and that was all. People could only look at him and admire him, or on the contrary, hate him. Finally, he returned. The first thing he did was knock on the door of his companion's room. He bought everything as she asked. When he saw what was waiting for him inside, he froze like a statue. The girl blossomed like a flower. Happy, she thanks him. Oh my Hannah. She made his heart skip a beat again. Lionel turns away. It looks like something really did happen to him. The main character doesn't understand what's wrong. He can pass. The man tries to pull himself together. It is not in her nature to seduce others. He holds out the bag. Now he needs to think about the bad. Think about the bad, nothing more. Comfortable clothes, shoes, excellent quality, just right for their further journey. Hannah is delighted he didn't miss a beat. He really does have a lot of girls. But then she suddenly falls silent. Better watch your tongue. Suddenly it will hurt him. Tiger is still lost in his thoughts. Before going to dinner, you need to wait a little. The girl just rubbed her feet. Then the man again makes an unwavering look and offers to carry her. Her? That same Lionel Millard who just caused so much fuss around himself. He answers, of course, only if she is ready to endure so many people's gazes on her. They, of course, can take the easy way out and ask for food. Or does Hannah just not want to be in the arms of a man she barely knows? Scandal or hotel food. As expected, it does not take into account any sense of shame. But then something happens that he didn't expect at all. The main character stretches out her hands, in this case forward. The man has no choice but to obey. He himself suggested it. What a fuss they will make. The girl recalls that the owner of the hotel recently came in. She was very interested in their relationship. Lionel feels guilty. She is tired as it is, and he is making her even more tired. Hannah doesn't understand what he's apologizing for. The one who should apologize is the owner for starting to pry into her personal life without asking. The divine beast asks what she answered. The main character simply pretended not to understand what was being discussed. She was not obliged to answer. Whether that woman is interested or not, she doesn't care at all. Finally, the man realized everything thanks to the words of his companion. The interests of other people should not concern them or stop them. While some are jealous, others are enjoying the delicious food. Here comes a new day. The weather should be good. The main character is dressed in new clothes and has new shoes. The night was pleasant in the soft bed, and the new clothes fit well. But there is one problem, or rather these amber eyes. Lionel is especially strange today. What is the reason for this? All day long he watches Hannah closely and licks his lips. but he says he is not hungry. This makes her a little embarrassed, so she asks if she has something on her face, to which he receives a negative answer. Then why stare like that? Everything was fine at the hotel, but what happened now? The main character again prepared soup from vegetables and meat. The situation doesn't change at all, and it's been like this all day. The girl is very awkward. It seems like she is eating, but it seems like she is not. But she loves to eat so much. Their gazes meet. Maybe something really happened. It is very strange for Hannah to see this predatory gaze at night, so she looks away, unable to withstand the pressure. These are the eyes of a carnivore, looking out for its prey. The main character is afraid of this divine beast for the first time. She still decides to ask the question, "Are there any problems?" The man shakes his head and says, "Everything is fine." The girl decides to lighten the mood and flirt, maybe something upset him. But Lionel answers dryly and briefly, "No, nothing like that." Well, since they've already finished eating, it's time to go to bed. He turns into a tiger. It was quite unexpected. Hannah turns around curious if this is his maximum size. The divine beast asks who she takes him for. Even though he could become even bigger and just crush her, the girl is not afraid. The only thing is that she feels like a little mouse driven into a cage by a cat. At least it's good that today the sky is clear and the stars are bright. The tiger turns to his companion and asks her to lie down closer. She asks the Lord to have mercy on her, although Lionel is to some extent a god. The divine beast licks the main character's face. There is drool on her eye. She doesn't understand what happened. Like the man, he insists that it happened completely by accident. He apologizes. It's just a tiger's habit. At that moment, goosebumps ran across the main character's body. She started running away, screaming, asking to be saved. The divine beast tries to convince her to come out, but the main character is very angry. She goes to wash herself in the stream. Damn, now Lionel realizes he can't hold back any longer. Hannah finally returned and managed to calm down a little. The tiger asks his companion to get ready. But where to? It's still so dark. He replies that urgent matters have arisen, and there is no way to put them off. The beast runs so fast that the main character has tears in her eyes. What kind of urgent matters are these? You can't mock me like that. The main character looks scared and very shabby. Finally, Lionel calmed down, and she was able to get down. He tells her to leave his things and rent a room in the village. The money is in the front pocket of the backpack. Now Hannah began to worry even more. What about him? Is someone following them? Is he going to fight someone? If it's really dangerous, you can just run away together. Tiger sighs deeply. How difficult it is to convince her. The divine beast takes the girl along with her things. He brought her and spat her out near the entrance to the hotel, right at the doors. The main character turns around and asks to wait. But she fails to convince him. The predator looks lonely. Did he really leave without explaining anything? Without saying a word? He doesn't even have any clothes with him. How is he going to walk around the village dressed as a tiger? Since he decided to disappear without proper explanation, he should not have invited her with him at all. And yet the most important thing is that he himself does not get hurt. It was morning outside, still quite early. The sun hadn't even risen. The main character is sleeping. She managed to get some rest, even in this situation. Next to her, on a chair, sits a man with folded hands and waits. The girl slowly opens her eyes and says her name, Lionel. The man replies that she has a well-developed sense of smell. Even elves, no matter how much they want to, cannot sense his presence. When asked if he was hurt, the man replies that he did not fight. Instead of hiding, it is better to tell the whole truth and gain the understanding of your companion. It contains not only a divine element, but also an animal element. The sleepy main character doesn't yet fully understand what he means. After a slight hesitation, he continues, therefore, unlike ordinary people, he has a much stronger sex drive. It's very disconcerting. Hannah was stunned, so it turns out it was difficult for him to control his libido. In general, sometimes it is hard for him. She should keep that in mind. With relief, the girl flops down on the soft bed again. After all, he didn't fight. She wonders what he does if he has a hard time holding back. Lionel replies that he goes to the mountains to unwind and get some fresh air, or he starts light affairs with girls who don't mind it. They are all not without sin, but the man himself is not delighted with this. The main character falls asleep again, this time without worries. The man smiles a little sadly, but he is glad that he was understood and accepted as he is. He covers the girl and apologizes, wishing her sweet dreams. The divine beast has come to eat. He asks for 5 portions of meat. It seems the cook knows him. It's a great honor for him that he visited their hotel again. It seems his last business was crowned with success. While the man went to get more drinks and salads, Hannah went down to Lionel. He immediately warned the girl that he had ordered breakfast for her too. The atmosphere is completely normal. He thought she would be angry after yesterday. For some reason, many people in the tavern look at her strangely. She understands, of course, that the tiger is quite famous, but today there is something strange around. Has he done something funny again? But Lionel replies that they are blinded by his magnificence. And then Hannah overhears a conversation the great divine beast was looking for, the one, last night. The girl sitting with him now is not ugly, but wasn't that a blonde? They say he likes those. The man apologizes again for dragging her into the gossip. If he wants, he can scare them. Human nature is such that people are always interested in other people's affairs. The main character is digging through the salad and thinking, after which he asks, does it mean he likes blondes? Lionel pretends it's not true slander and continues drinking his cup of coffee. Well, what would he have done if this girl had not been so close? The man is panicking. He needs to respond carefully. He should try an attack with appearance. He says that there is no village in the area that he could not reach. And besides, she can always call him with the help of the relic. The girl does not agree that this is such a common thing. She felt uncomfortable and unpleasant all day yesterday because of his behavior. The tiger promises that this will not happen again. Next time he will warn. The divine beast had beads of sweat running down his face when the conversation turned to whether habits could be corrected. He himself said that Hannah wouldn't be able to stop him, even if she was very careful, and torturing him with the relic wasn't the best solution. What will happen if a man suddenly cannot control himself? Lionel will do everything the way she wants. He will do everything as she orders. This answer did not satisfy his companion. She was furious. Did he really think that everything would work out just by showing her pity? The man doesn't know how to get out of this situation unharmed. The main character pierces the salad with a fork. As they say, if you demand, you must comply. If he decides to do something bad to her, the only one on earth, the girl will simply kill him. Lionel has no choice but to agree. It's surprising that she's willing to kill the last remaining divine being on earth. But she doesn't care, absolutely, whether he's an endangered species or not. A woman bursts into the room screaming, "Lionel, marry me." For some reason, this didn't surprise him at all. His face was calm as always. The woman is very out of breath, but she looks beautiful. Light silky hair and blue eyes. Hannah makes a remark, "Just look, she's a blonde after all." The woman was accompanied by 2 more servants. With a serious face, she walks towards the man. She points her finger at the main character and asks, "Who is this girl? Is he really having an affair with such a pathetic and unattractive girl?" The divine beast has become more irritable. He asks her to watch her language. He wonders how she knew he was here. Doria, that's her name I heard from the gossips in town. And again she insists that he must marry her immediately. The man doesn't understand why he would do this. The woman looks very offended. Her whole face is red. She screams throughout the room, "You slept with me." This attracted all the people who were in the hotel. A wonderful performance begins. Lionel says it was consensual. Hannah wonders why she's even here listening to all this. Doria has tears in her eyes and says she's pregnant. So he has to. The main character tries to get up carefully and quietly, walk away as far as possible. But then, in a fit of anger, the woman attacks her. Where is she going? The divine beast intercepts Lady Doria Hamilton's hand in time. Hannah has absolutely nothing to do with this, so if you have something to say, let her tell him. The woman does not understand why he protects her but treats her so formally. People see this as the beginning of a love triangle. The girl is already crying in her soul. If we are going to sort things out, then somewhere else, and without her. Doria will leave as he wants, but first he will kill this scum. Now Lionel was completely serious. He seemed to have made himself clear. This look made the woman feel scared and shudder. Aren't tigers monogamous? How can he behave like that with the mother of his child? The man would marry her if she were really pregnant by him, but this is impossible. Is he denying what happened between them that night? Hannah wonders how much longer Lionel is haunted by such scandals every day. The antics of the hotel owner were just the tip of the iceberg. I can only believe he was able to cook up such a mess. It's so disgusting. Everything is so annoying. She just wants to leave. The eyes of the entire tavern are now turned to the main character. Lionel sighs and says that his companion had better go upstairs. But wouldn't it be better to resolve the matter quickly rather than be distracted by her? The woman begins to tremble. This situation will finish her off. How dare some devil interrupt their conversation? The divine beast stops Doria again, his patience running out. He squeezes her wrist tightly as a final warning gesture. Next time he won't repeat it. He asked him to stop. Doria manages to pull her hand away. There was a mark left on it. It was painful. She screams again and goes crazy, causing her to lose her balance. The woman ends up on the floor. Since she didn't seem to know, he explains. It is possible to become pregnant from a divine beast, only if he wants to. There is no other way. Doria's face darkened, horror showing on her face. Lionel never intended to continue the relationship with her. The woman clutches her stomach and hysterically asks, "Whose the hell is this child?" But isn't this something she should know better than anyone? Tears appear in her eyes. This baby, he must be his. The servants approach the miss to calm her down and take her away. All the other people who were watching also left. The main character is served another dish, this time meat. The worried cook leaves to avoid escalating the situation. The man sits down at the table and apologizes again for causing another stir. Nothing more should interfere with their journey. That would be nice if she has to endure something like that again. In fact, the main character feels sorry for the girl. Lionel chuckles a little. Does she really think that? He thought she would react completely differently. Even though the man threatened Doria severely, she showed no interest at all. And now she says she's sorry. It's very surprising. It became obvious that Hannah was tired of the aggression directed at her. The divine beast wonders if she has anything else she wants to ask. If we talk about a child, he does not plan to have one with a person. Now everything is clear to the main character, and there are no more questions left. The man wonders if even after watching this whole spectacle, she didn't have any thoughts at all. For example, the thought of disgust towards a man who leads a promiscuous sex life. The main character can't understand why he is so happy after all this fuss. She pushes him away and asks him not to interfere with her eating. It's inconvenient. And anyway, why should a girl worry about their personal life? He's not her boyfriend. It would be nice if she never heard about his nightly escapades again. It's not his fault, but Hannah would like to avoid similar situations in the future. If she needs something, a man will definitely listen to her. The girl had heard this several times today. Oh well, she asks, then can I ask her one question? If Hannah is hesitating, it must be something special. She usually doesn't cross the line, but now she hesitates to ask a question. Most likely, it is personal. After all, she always remained indifferent to those around her. The girl says that if he feels uncomfortable, he doesn't have to answer. The very thought that she is interested in learning something about him makes her heart flutter. Lionel Millard, son of Bea and Anna Claw, swears to answer truthfully. The main character was amused by this answer. Well, that's great. What she was wondering was, does he really like blondes? He certainly didn't expect this, so he was stunned. Now he's caught. He can't get out of it anymore. The events take place several days later in a village. The sun is still high. They can have lunch here and move on. Hannah agrees. There is no problem with this. She is even happy. They're going to order a little more, so they'll have enough for dinner. The girl wanted to say something but stopped abruptly. The daughter of the Hamilton family committed suicide. Rumors spread around the village that the girl had become pregnant. By God knows who, she herself admitted it. People's conversations never stop. Did she commit suicide with a child in her belly? Without even realizing how valuable life is. No one knows why she died, but it could have been a contract killing to clear the family name. How will the family continue its lineage now? But they don't care about that. It's a headache for aristocrats. They should sort out their own problems. That's why they close the topic. The girl can't tell from his face if everything is okay. It's kind of noisy here. Maybe they should go somewhere else. The man replies that the sooner they finish eating, the sooner they will leave here. The main character agrees that whatever she says, it will be. She takes his hand to somehow support him. However, Lionel would not have wanted such a terrible outcome either. The weather got very bad. In the evening, when they had already moved away from the city, it started to rain. They hid in a cave to avoid trouble. The man says that Daya did not seem like someone who would give her life for the honor of the family. If she were like that, she would hardly start screaming in public. It's hard to even imagine. She said that she lived in captivity on the land of her father, feudal. Her dream is to get out of the house. However, being born into an aristocratic family, it is not easy to leave. The only way out was marriage. Well, or wait until someone found her a husband. That woman would have to either wait or choose for herself. That's why Doria became attached to him. It seems she was never able to find someone to escape the village. With judging by what she came back then, most likely she found out about her pregnancy too late. But he still doesn't think she would dare to take such a step. Doria had said many times that she wanted to try many things. Once she got out of here, she was willing to do anything to achieve that. The main character puts her head on his shoulder and asks him to continue. Lionel smiles, but with a hint of sadness he feels guilty. The man reaches out and carefully touches his companion's hair. After the death of Doria's mother, her father immediately decided to adopt another child. The daughter, who was left with nothing and had no value on the marriage market, became a headache for her father. How ironic that aristocrats can be so cruel to their own children. He is a bad man. Hannah says that if he thinks so, then it must be true. The man asks, was it support? But no, it is the truth. He sighs heavily. As usual, people are so incomprehensible and mysterious. The girl replies that his gaze is too human to speak like that. The main character touches his face even now. His eyes are filled with sadness, sorrow, pain, and experiences. Golden eyes of a predator. Hannah had always been afraid of his predatory nature, but not now. Lionel takes his hand away. He has been like this since he became a divine beast. He experiences many feelings when in human form. The girl moves closer again. No need to make your life so difficult. But this is the nature of people. This is how they are made, and nothing can be done about it. Is it Hannah's imagination? Or is the man especially honest and overly tired today? As if he is tired of life, and yet she likes him the way he is now. Of course, she didn't mean it as a man, a girl in her element. Lionel usually excites people with his presence, but now he is so saddened by the death of his friend. This is what makes him more human than anything else. And that's why girls like him more. Now they sit silently next to each other, the fire helping them to warm up. It seems like the main character said too much. He won't get angry at her, will he? It's very awkward to lie like this now. She needs to slowly move away. But the divine beast does not allow this to happen, but on the contrary, attracts it to itself. This gesture greatly embarrasses the main character, and she accidentally touches his body. She herself is very surprised and does not understand what he is doing. Well, she still manages to get out. Doesn't it seem to him that it's become a bit stuffy? Lionel sighs. Usually people just keep lying down, but she is not so simple. This makes the girl angry. If he is looking for easy prey, then he should look elsewhere. He doesn't think that all people will accept an apology without question just because he is a divine beast? That look, again, he's not used to having such conversations. How can he make amends? Hannah asks, to avoid such inappropriate topics. She is not interested in a one-night stand, even with such a handsome man. But she started it, didn't she? In her opinion, it was just friendly support. Then he too can say that it was friendly. They are not children, so they cannot distinguish between these concepts. The man is just joking. The divine beast still can't understand something. Why doesn't the main character use the pendant? She can just order it. Lionel had asked this question before. Was it really that important to him? As Hannah said, before she is not his master, and the ancient relics are unlikely to be contained, are they? The girl can't figure out if he wants her to use it or not. Better to save it for an emergency. But she could have used it recently, couldn't she? The main character replies that everything is complicated there. After all, she herself could have wanted to touch him. Even though the girl is joking, there may be some truth in every joke. Hannah winks. She got caught. She really did want to touch the abs. But the man didn't fall for it. It was too obvious a lie. It didn't look like her. The girl knows well how to twist men around her finger. She usually hides these skills. You have to be careful not to fall in love. She only has to wish for it, and guys will be rolling around in stacks in front of her. Hannah knows how easy and spontaneous sweet talk can come when the atmosphere is right. However, it seems as if she is not ready for a serious relationship in which she would give herself completely. She says she doesn't want to be subject to excessive emotions that won't lead to anything. But what will she do if she really likes the person? The girl values herself very much for herself and therefore will not allow anyone to melt her heart. Now it became clear to the man that she was avoiding relationships out of fear of getting hurt. And most likely, this had been going on for a long time. They've been chatting for a while. Because of this romantic, rainy atmosphere, it's time to go to bed. Before that, Lionel asks them to calm down and not make a hole in the blanket. The main character stops for a second and thinks, how does he know such expressions? And he used similar ones before. His vocabulary is a mixture of old-time and mercenary expressions. Does that sound weird? The girl confirms that it feels like her father is trying to learn new words. Well, he agrees that it's time to sleep. Tomorrow, they'll have a hard time because of the rain. The man begins to undress. He looks beautiful. The main character still can't get used to it. At least he warned her. You shouldn't take everything she says seriously. And by the way, she doesn't touch those who have a mess in their personal lives. The girl feels when he turns into a divine beast. Her mood immediately improves when she sees a big cat. The tiger invites his new friend to finally lie down. He wraps his large tail around Hannah's waist. She makes a remark that it's time for them to buy bedding. Well, it and wool will be much warmer anyway. It's still pouring outside and doesn't seem to be stopping. For some reason, the main character's head seems so heavy. Judging by the sound of drops, she can hear they are now outside. It looks like the girl is sick. The man is trying to run with all his might. He asks them to hold on. There is only a little bit left. They will soon reach the village. The main character is breathing very heavily. It is unclear whether she can hear him at all. Hannah woke up. She was in bed. She had a wet rag on her head. There is a young man sitting next to her. She doesn't understand where she is. The man touches her forehead and reassures her that everything is fine. It's Lionel. He says she needs to get some more sleep. Since the girl is weak, she closes her eyes and falls asleep again. The divine beast is terribly glad that she is okay. He kisses her hand and asks her to get well as soon as possible. It has finally rained, and its drops are still running down the leaves of the trees. The sun's light is directed straight at the main character, so warm. This time the main character wakes up completely. The doctor says that Hannah slept for 2 days. Now she will bring porridge and something to drink. But the girl is worried about where Lionel Millard is now. Due to heavy rainfalls, landslides occurred in the mountains. Fortunately, His Holiness offered his help. Well, that's right. It would be reasonable for him to do so. The man stayed up all night and took care of the girl before leaving. Don't be offended that he's not around. He couldn't refuse the villagers. Hannah asks to tell where exactly the divine beast went. Although everything has changed a lot in this place, it is still the same village in which she lived. They say Lionel Millard's negotiations with the forester ended well. It's very fortunate that he happened to be here. Rumor has it that he is very handsome. Those who saw him immediately fell in love. When a girl passes by, she smiles. Hearing these conversations, they know him everywhere. Suddenly, the main character notices something ahead. Ah, here he is, as always very busy and wonderful at the same time. Yeah, handsome guys even have a different aura. Is that what you call an outstanding personality? When the man turns his gaze, their eyes meet. He gets up as a small contented cat and so happy. Hannah was surprised by such a reaction. This had never happened before. He immediately runs up to her and asks how she feels. The girl doesn't understand why she suddenly feels so uncomfortable looking into his eyes. Probably it's because of that strange dream, but it was so pleasant. Lionel is still worried. Why did she come if she could still rest? It seems that the temperature has not gone down yet. Since she can't sleep anymore, they're going to eat. The village elder just slaughtered a cow. She should like it. With the forester about the landslide, and decided to thank him in this way. If the headman himself came here, does that mean the landslide was serious? The divine beast has a smile from ear to ear. Several people were washed away. Hannah asks if something good happened, or maybe his sworn enemy was carried away, or maybe he met a familiar forester. But that's not true. He's just happy because she's finally recovered. These words make the girl's cheeks blush. She's probably thinking now that it's because they can continue on their way. It seems Lionel really wants to do it, but only with permission. His companion just woke up, so he is still worried. The main character asks if this can be considered a friendly gesture. He replies that absolutely and completely he has no bad intentions. The girl takes the outstretched hand, and the two of them have a lot of fun. They won't be in a hurry today. She should rest for another day. Hannah thanks him because she heard that he stayed up all night looking after her. The doctor told the man that it was nothing serious, but they still wouldn't be in too much of a hurry to travel. He repeats once again that he is very happy that she woke up. Then he asks if she has ever been sick like this before, or if she just felt weak. The main character replies that she often gets sick, but in a mild form. Then Lionel suggests eating a bear's gallbladder. It helps well. Okay, that was a joke. I'll have to get some bitter medicine instead. Nothing but meat is needed now. It's a completely different matter that his companion looks much more familiar with her smile. Maybe it's because of that night. It seems like they've become closer. They never allowed themselves to do that before. Still, the man thinks that he understands people well. The main character asks why he says this. At first, when he decided to find a partner to transport the relic, he specifically attracted attention in that village, but no one interested him until he met her. Wasn't it a coincidence that they tied the pendant together? But nothing in this world happens by chance. Well, if he says so, so be it. And also don't wipe her face so suddenly. There are already a lot of eyes on them. Lionel keeps making fun of her. Does she think it's a problem? The main character says that nothing of the sort happens. She just doesn't want false rumors. The divine beast stands up and says that in that case there is one solution. Unexpectedly for everyone, he kneels in front of the girl. The man opens a small box containing a ring. From their first meeting, he realized that she was his destiny. He can no longer hide his feelings. They do not give him peace. From now on, here, the main character goes crazy, screams and waves a fork. She hits him right in the forehead. What a terrible turn of events. Blood is flying everywhere as people try to save his sanctity. The girl is completely serious. At first, it seems that the man is writhing in pain. We see him laugh. Lionel calls it the best. She didn't like the ring design that much. Well, it was made 300 years ago. Hannah doesn't understand what she did wrong. That fate connected her with such a fool? Tiger asks not to be so angry. Actually, it was just him here. He shuts the main character's mouth with a slice of cheese so that she doesn't scream. This situation has attracted the attention of all the tavern's visitors, but the food calms her down well. Lionel Millard is a great divine being and a legendary handsome man who is chased by countless girls. Really fell in love with this girl. We are now watching historical events. Rumors have already spread that the holy beast has fallen in love with some village shepherdess. Some people even think that he has fallen in love with a princess from another country and is heading to the capital for a wedding. But the strangest thing is that he was refused. Who in their right mind would do that? Here, the main character can't take it anymore. Finally, she can get angry at someone. The man also heard many interesting stories, for example about a duel, where if he wins, she will marry him. Hannah is pissed off. He needs to stop riding on his pretty face. If it weren't for that stupid joke, these rumors wouldn't exist. What kind of decision is this? Pretending to be a couple to avoid complicated relationship rumors. Before meeting him, no one knew her, but now she sees looks on her every day. This is the one. The girl seems to live the life of a star. Now it is even inconvenient to dine in public places. Lionel doesn't think the hype will die down. The closer they get to the capital, it will get worse. People have even started to come up and ask for details. The man's antics became even more frequent, and he was going to change his clothes in front of her. This speaks of an indirect kiss, since they drank from the same bottle. He irritates Hannah so much that sometimes she even hits him. This is too much even for a deity. The divine beast asks if she knows that the cat family is very playful. But if he thinks he can fix everything with his pretty face, then nothing will come of it. Then a cloud of smoke rises, and the main character is very surprised. The divine beast turned into a small tiger cub, begging with his eyes to forgive him. This is a very dirty trick. The main character is about to go crazy from an excess of cuteness. He begins to purr and cuddle with the person's leg, showing his affection. The girl understands that she cannot fall for this and let herself be deceived. Then comes the next attack. He lies on his back, and so the girl's thread of reason broke, and drool began to flow from her mouth. She attacks him. The fur is so soft, he knows it's not fair, right? Only today, the girl will be indulgent. She really can resist me before the image of a tiger. The divine beast is very embarrassed. He said that this is the same as touching the belly of an adult man. He jumps out of the main character's hands. Everything ended as unexpectedly as it began. When he changes his clothes, they will have to have a serious talk. He is already 1,000 years old, but something does not look like him at all. A man asks Hannah what hair color she likes on guys. It's not fair that she's the only one who knows his type. She never thought about it, but she definitely likes brunettes better. In fact, Lionel only has a yellow head. He is a tiger, so his hair is black in other places. The girl did not want to hear this such useless information. That's it. Now that he's dressed, they can go. It's only a short distance to the village. Everything is as usual. People are walking, working, and some are having fun. The only thing is, there are too many people. Most likely they got to the festival. It is a trading town located along a river, so it is no wonder that there are so many people here. There is also a big market there, so there is a lot to see. If she needs anything, he will definitely buy it. Hannah thinks she needs new chairs for her hotel, but the man meant something for himself. Well, in any case, the main character is not going to refuse such an offer. The first thing they do is go to a jewelry store. The man sees that she definitely wants something, and this makes him happy. Once again, people are whispering behind their backs. It seems gossip has already overtaken them. At first, everyone approached them to find out details, but now they just stare. It's much better that way. He's already gotten used to it so much so that it's easy for him to find a new girlfriend after a breakup. Although Hannah probably feels uncomfortable, the protagonist turns and addresses the divine beast by name. She shows a hair clip and an elastic band. Which one should I take? The man replies that he can buy everything. They stop there. The reason he feels comfortable in this relationship is Hannah. Her sensitive gaze detachment and distancing from others are like a deer that has met a predator. But if you pretend to be sick and whine, then she will come. because she has human kindness. Introvert by nature, very calm, comfortable and caring. And another very important detail that arouses interest: she will never fall in love with him, with the divine beast, with Lionel. This is what awakens in him an interest that he has not felt for so long. The main character is still thinking about choosing an elastic band. It can be used for business and in everyday life. Lionel reaches out and carefully touches the girl's hair. She turns and looks at him questioningly. The man simply smiles, showing with his whole appearance that he has nothing to do with it. Unfortunately, there are no other shades, only those on the counter. Does she really mean to say that she didn't pay any attention? Then he thinks, why not go even further? The main character turns around abruptly and says that they need to look for a hotel already. Lionel says she's so cold and unapproachable, but the reaction is the same as that of wild animals, perhaps even better. Why was he so upset? Was it because of some girl? He needed to get rid of unnecessary thoughts as soon as possible. Then he notices something. The man's gaze immediately becomes serious. Reflexively, he draws his spear and points it towards the enemy. It is placed directly at the other person's Adam's apple. Time seems to stand still, along with the other characters. The powerful beast pulls Hannah toward itself, protecting her from a possible threat. He asks the suspicious person who he is. The strangers are panicking. He's Lionel Millard, right? The man asks if he remembers his face. He doesn't look like much of a threat. Even though they are seeing each other for the first time, maybe he still reminds them of someone. He thinks, judging by his clothes, the guy is a former mercenary. But he is too young. He has seen this face somewhere. Lionel finally remembered. He looked a bit like Cheney, but he smelled completely different. The Chung Rose he knew had great-grandchildren. He was often told that he looked like his great-grandfather. Apparently, the boy was not taught that he shouldn't attack people from behind. He was just too happy and didn't think twice. So why did Chen's great-grandson need the divine beast? He follows orders, and he will tell you everything else along the way. The main character looks at Lionel in a strange way. They are already walking, but the girl still doesn't tell the man to move away. They have arrived. Wherever the characters go, there will always be a buzz around them. The first thing they did was go in to eat some very tasty shashlik. The guy says that the rumors that they are dating turned out to be true. This is the most favorite topic of conversation among people. Lionel asks very rudely if he is interested in the divine beast's personal life. He didn't come because of that. He received a very good offer that might interest him. A man's beautiful companion needs to be protected, but a guy guarantees safety. He knows that the divine beast cannot ride a horse, so the terrain is also suitable. This is the business of the Guamo Road. Lionel is very surprised. Has it finally been opened? The young man wants to say something else, but he is interrupted. The man says he will think about it. The boy was sent to the camp. The divine beast was a little tired of him. Finally, Lionel removes his hand from the main character's shoulder. He already thinks that she will start mumbling again, that something is off topic. Or will she ask who it was? Maybe will she ask why he was sitting with her in an embrace? But the girl asks what Guamo is. The man certainly didn't expect that. There's a road nearby called Guamo, where the fairies like to clown around. It's a great shortcut, and they could use one too. The only problem is that they can't know for sure where the ferry road will lead. She could point the way to one of the 16 Guamo paths across the country. If they were lucky, they would end up where they needed to be. Fairies are usually given gifts to please them, but he doesn't think they would send them to a strange place. The girl hits his hand. It's because he's a divine beast. Well, they'll make the most of their status. The man again has a smile from ear to ear, and his eyes are shining with happiness. He looks at Hannah with admiration and gently tucks a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The main character's gaze becomes cold. She asked not to do that. Lionel is asked why she didn't resist when he hugged her. The girl thought that he behaved this way because she felt some kind of threat. He doesn't touch her without a reason. There must be an explanation for this behavior. She trusts him so much, and he was just about to. The man looks away slightly and says how well the girl understands everything. But Hannah also adds that she knows he asked the question specifically to find out if it had cracked. The main character asks not to worry. She will not fall in love with Lionel Millard. The man has long understood this. There was no need to repeat it again. Hannah says she'll consider asking him to propose by running 7 laps around LeBlanc naked or by building a bridge of gemstones to her house. Since he found himself in such a situation, the girl could only offer this tea. It was already bought, but the main character simply doesn't like it. It was already night, and they finally left the tavern. Hannah stretches and says she's full. It's starting to get a little colder outside, and she's starting to shiver. But the divine beast comes closer and puts his hand on the shoulder. Lionel isn't being harassing. He just can't let her catch a cold again. He doesn't need to justify himself. Now the beating of his heart, the line of his jaw, that the girl always looks at the golden eyes that look back at her, have become familiar. The main character says that it suddenly became so warm and cozy. The man smiles again, happy that he can be near her. His tail is wagging from side to side. He looks like he's very excited. Lionel asks what she thinks about moving with the mercenaries. In fact, the main character doesn't care. She doesn't really understand it. The only thing she would be upset about was if he did it his way without asking. The divine beast guessed. That's why he asked this question. The man sighs. He tries to mercenaries because they can't be trusted. There are many scoundrels among them. There is a silent dialogue between them, but he is a mercenary himself, isn't he? He talked about everyone except him, the perfect one. If he doesn't trust them so much, then what should a girl do in this situation? Lionel hugs the girl again and says she just needs to stay close. The main character moves away as if she is about to throw up. She said that she was more attracted to clean-cut brunettes. Hannah turns on the acting skills. Well, she meant the hair, not everything else, of the great king of mercenaries. It's a shame because she's losing such an incredibly handsome man. Since when did he start smiling so often? It must be because of meeting her. On the way, the man asks if his companion knows how to drink alcohol. She replies that she is an expert in this. Lionel never drank before a strong social interaction. He didn't want to have to deal with the problems that might arise. If he's not mistaken, there's a pretty good winery nearby, and they also make mead there. Quite strong, but the taste is simply excellent, worth trying. Yes, that's right. Sweet to the point of intoxication. And the degree is so high. Perhaps this is because the man has not spent this much time with the girl for several years. But still, Hannah's sweet aroma slightly confuses him. Later he suggests trying bamboo alcohol. Well, what kind of nonsense is he talking? He can't be offered to ordinary people. He's completely lost his mind. You need to pour alcohol into each cell of the young bamboo. And on January 15th, according to the lunar calendar, when the bamboo has grown enough, you need to cut it down and drink the resulting drink. Here the main character sings it over and asks if he wants to have a drink with her sometime. The most suitable day for this would be the end of their journey. The divine beast looks very surprised. That's right, that's a good idea. He was beating around the bush for a while, but that was exactly what he wanted to suggest. The man says that the girl is quite smart. She won't get lost alone. I can't believe he couldn't say it. It's very awkward at moments like this from myself. Lionel wished he could turn it all into a joke and forget about it like before. Well, there you go. He can't keep quiet at a moment like this because he's not nearly as strong as she is. Well, he agrees without any ulterior motives. The events take place in the mercenary guild, where that guy came from. He noticed Lionel Millard and was very happy that he had come to them after all. The divine beast looks around in such places. You need to be careful. There are no familiar faces here. Only scoundrels have gathered, although even this young man will be worse than Chen. The man says he couldn't refuse, especially since they are also going to the capital. We would like to study the task they need to go up to the second floor, but Hannah does not belong there. The guy immediately understands this, so I suggest taking the girl to another office. Lionel compliments him. He is smarter than his great-grandfather. The young man thanks and asks Fornex to keep the young lady company so that she doesn't get bored. The woman is clearly unhappy. Is she their nanny or something? The mercenary looks intently at the people standing in front of her. She winks and asks who this handsome guy is, who has come. While the quarrel is going on between them, the characters already want to leave. Having finished the showdown, the young man sends the two away. The man looks at this with some displeasure. Well, it's time for them to go meet the customer. It is a great honor for Uncle to meet the last divine beast, Chad Miranara. There was an incident in his childhood when he saw it from afar. Still remembers Lionel leaving their village after helping them. Grandpa couldn't even imagine that he would ever meet him, and especially in such a situation. The man says he was quite an active mercenary back then. After reading the contract, he asks for a 75% cut in compensation. Even with such an offer, a small amount on his part may seem disrespectful. Lionel Millard says there's no problem, they were heading to the capital anyway. In return, it would be better to take care of his companion. Hannah's comfort is most important. Food and transportation are also at their expense. Only under these conditions will he take on this body. These people's eyes are shining. They seem to be truly grateful. To avoid any misunderstandings, the man says that they are traveling together due to certain circumstances. She draws his gaze to her. He can't bring himself to say that she is not charming. However, there is nothing special between them. The young man says, but they treat each other as if they were a very nice and sweet couple. The man clenches his fist. It seems like Chen's great-grandson has forgotten what a very good way of communicating he has. Well, then Grandpa entrusts them with this task. They will meet tomorrow at the checkpoint. Coming out, the divine beast says that the young man can take his share of the profit for himself. Yes, he tries, but not for him, but for his precious companion. And the guy is delighted he himself is ready to fall in love. He's so cool. The door to the room opens with a creak. It looks like it's far from new. The main character didn't have time to finish her conversation before she switched to the man. The young man is very energetic and asks if Fornex has caused any problems. The girl looks pretty. Were the negotiations successful? The man sits down next to her and replies, yes, they are leaving tomorrow morning. The woman told her that there would be a corporate party for the mercenaries tonight. They would go too, right? The reason to have a drink together came even sooner than they expected. Lionel, that this is not the corporate party she imagines. Hannah doesn't understand what he's talking about. What's wrong with that? The events take place sometime later. She looks very gloomy. The atmosphere is gloomy, a bunch of ill-mannered men with a murderous aura. This event is about drinking alcohol, laughing, and just relaxing. Some, on the contrary, sit on the sidelines and watch others. As the divine beast expected, this was a typical drinking party for mercenaries. The girl asks for one favor in a trembling voice. She didn't quite understand where she was going, and she didn't know the people here. She would feel much calmer if he was next to her. Hannah blushed and apologized for causing inconvenience. This is real cuteness for Lionel. If she is scared, she could say it straight out. He even felt pleased that she saw him as a support. Just as they were about to leave, a very familiar face emerged. Chen's great-grandson shouts across the room for everyone to put down their drinks and pay attention. Some very special guests have arrived. This is Hannah, the heroine of all the gossip. The young man tells everyone to lower their heads and say hello, after which they went on drinking. At least the girl was able to exhale. Here the man warns her to remember those he will now point out. The most dangerous ones are the twins. It would be better to be wary of them. Lionel will be nearby on the Guamo Road, but you have to keep your eyes open just in case. It would be best to stick with the gloomy guy in the green cloak. He looks like a man from another squad, or even like a regular visitor to the establishment, and he's sitting alone on the sidelines. They say there are lone mercenaries. Most likely he's one of them. The main character asks with distrust, can she really trust him? The divine beast confirms, because he is one of the elves. The girl freezes for a second. It seems this topic means something to her. They have an agreement with the minister of this country, Ezekiel Escott. The minister has an agreement with Lionel, so he will help in case of danger. The man notices that something is wrong with the main character and suggests that she go out and get some fresh air. She replies that everything is fine. She just feels awkward that such a handsome man will be attached to her. The divine beast doesn't understand anything. She got drunk without drinking anything, after which he turns around. That's the reason. Annoying men. To change the subject, the girl asks, "What is the agreement?" Is she even interested in knowing that? Initially, other animals could also become divine beings. Then the elves had a very important question. Can they do the same? The elves wanted to leave this terrible world by becoming deities, to escape from people in a new world. The main character asks if he wanted to help them with this. He will help as much as he can. The rest is up to them. The girl wanted to say something else, but she saw someone. He looks like an ordinary person. It looks like he brought some drinks and was a little late. Hannah's eyes sparkle. The voice is so familiar. She asks if she can say hello to that guy. The man evaluates him, bald, middle-aged, protruding belly, so he shouldn't be a rival. The only thing he warns her not to go far. He wouldn't want to find her in a foreign land later. Lionel can also recommend a self-defense spell that might come in handy. The main character is delighted. Is this really true? It would be great if he taught. The divine beast agrees and takes her face with both hands. He smiles and brings his head closer and closer. The man tenderly kisses his companion, and she immediately feels calm. But the look directed at others was terrifying. If they touched her with even a finger, they would die. The girl feels deeply deceived, but he says that he simply marked her. Well, so be it. It's not what she wanted to say, but it can't be helped. It seems like these two are on good terms. The uncle is also glad to see her. The divine beast was left alone to dine. Many people passed by him and paid attention, but no one dared to talk. Lionel seemed to look at them with envy in his eyes. The atmosphere around changed. Even other visitors noticed it. They became uncomfortable. At one point, someone sat down next to the divine beast. Is this Fornex asking if he'll pour her a glass? The man silently takes a bottle of wine and fills a glass. The woman thanks and winks. How can I repay her? Lionel wants to say that it would be great to thank him by leaving, but he replies that nothing is needed. Fornex moves closer and presses his chest into his hand. But she needs it, the woman asked the little girl, and she said that they had a purely business relationship. If she were in her place, she would have slept with her on the first night. Well, what can you do? His companion has already managed to blab everything. The man sighs. Business relations forgotten. Well, what other answer could he expect from Hannah? Fornex wants to be frank. She's very good at it. Here the divine beast freezes and goes into his thoughts. He swore to his companion that he would fulfill all her whims. Did his words sound so ridiculous then? He felt so awkward. The woman says she has no hidden intentions to catch him. And besides, he won't find anyone more beautiful than her nearby. He's dating such a scruffy girl. At that moment, Chung bursts in, tries to look away. The alcohol here is so delicious. This is the most popular place in the village. The man takes a deep breath and calls the whole situation disgusting. But he will forgive them this time, right? The divine beast, with a very creepy expression on his face, tells them to get out of his sight, both of them now. The young man is crying loudly and thanking for the mercy, but Fornex is going crazy. How hard it is to survive in this world. Chung is really very emotional. Lionel continues to pour himself more and more glass after glass. He seems to be feeling very bad. He is silent all the time and thinking about something. After which, he throws a small bag of money on the table, and he just leaves without saying goodbye to anyone, like a lost soul. It had already gotten dark outside, but the lights were still on in the tavern. The main character finally arrived at the place, but saw that no one was there. She was very surprised because she thought she would find him here. Did he really leave without even waiting for her? That's very strange. Although they didn't agree on this, she sat at the table for a long time. There were still many people left. The girl waited and even managed to eat well. and yet he could have waited. Hannah feels abandoned. Now it's daytime, and we see the main character sleeping. In her dream, she calls the name of her companion. Even then, she thinks about him. Still not waking up, she asks where the soft fur went. After which, she remembers that she is in a hotel room, all alone. Hannah waited for Lionel until late at night, but he never showed up. Instead, she met other mercenaries in a pub and found out where he had disappeared to. According to them, the man was angry with Fornex's behavior and left. In the end, she returned on her own and kept thinking about the divine beast. Waking up in the arms of this tiger has become much more familiar than waking up alone. The main character only realized that she imagined him as a pillow. She slaps herself on the cheeks and asks her to pull herself together. What kind of nonsense was just in her head? When the girl was going down, she saw a man who was already below. She was happy to see him. Thank God everything was fine. Lionel looks up and greets his companion with a smile. Hannah notices that he's different today. Maybe it's because of yesterday. The main character looks intently at the divine beast, after which he asks to tell him directly what is bothering him. The man turns his head. Everything is definitely fine with him. The girl is sure, so there is definitely something. Usually, she will not forget the conversation if it seems that he is not in the mood. But now, Hannah doesn't want to do that at all. She says she thinks he's lying. The divine beast looks at her silently for some time, after which she replies that she is not herself and has imagined too much. He changes the subject and asks if she would like to have breakfast now. She needs to eat properly while she can. The only thing is, there's no meat here that she loves. The girl easily let go of this situation, thinking that another opportunity for conversation would come up. Well, after that, Lionel constantly avoided her. When the meeting with the customer took place, he decided not to leave the form of a tiger at all. Cheng approaches the girl and asks if she knows if the man was very hurt by yesterday's situation. Apparently, he knows what happened yesterday. She wasn't there then, so he doesn't know what happened. The boy doesn't say it directly. He's just being pestered. Everyone would be irritated by the endless buzzing of a fly in their ear, right? Hannah is sure that he is not telling her everything, and she doesn't want to torture him with questions. Here someone addresses the main character, Baby. This is Fornex asking if they are meeting a divine beast. Everyone said that there was a conflict between her and him yesterday. The girl confirms that they are not a couple, just friends and colleagues. The woman asks if she heard that she failed to seduce him yesterday. The mercenary didn't think that he would react this way to the words that Hannah was a simpleton. Before saying the most important thing, she pauses for a short time. The main character definitely likes this tiger. It's obvious. She glances up and thinks about her words for a second, after which he waves his hand and says that she is exaggerating. Sometimes there are very picky guys, judging by the fact that he has never been married in 1,300 years. He is definitely one of those. Hannah says he likes blondes. Tiger seems to have heard that. Fornex calls her empty-headed. The girl must quickly go grab him by the collar and kiss him. Because of both of them, the atmosphere here is so tense that even the horses are uncomfortable. At the beginning, Hannah wants to somehow get out of it, but the mercenary interrupts her and gives her some clothes. She'd better go change her clothes. That could be considered payment for betrayal. This shirt is not at all like the typical clothes of the main character. She looks around. Where should she put it on? If she's not mistaken, she just needs to throw it on top. The girl says she's going to change. I wonder if he heard. The tail of the divine beast rose up a little, as if he heard something. Okay then, she'll try to calm this prehistoric cat down. The main character turns to Lionel, who raises his head. She asks, "Are you sure something out of the ordinary didn't happen yesterday?" The tiger's tail is moving again, but she doesn't understand his language. Hannah says that Fornex gave her this blouse. The other clothes were just a little big and didn't look good. But they will return to the topic. Where was he yesterday? She was waiting for him. The man asks questions. Does he really need to report to her? The girl laughs from awkwardness. He misunderstood her. She was just really worried about him. That's the real reason. The main character wants to pet him, but the tiger doesn't respond. But it becomes smaller to make it more comfortable for his companion. The perfect height for her to rest her hand on. Here was the Lionel Millard she knew. Yesterday, Hannah was very scared, but she still waited for him there for a long time. The divine beast replies that she did not ask for this. The main character agrees. That's right. That's really true. But she still sat and waited for her companion. The girl has no idea what happened between them, or that maybe something bad happened that night. She's not sure if she should even ask for any justification. Maybe she should just stop worrying about it, but she just can't because she wants to maintain a good relationship with this ancient cat. Hannah is a little embarrassed, but still says that she was very worried. She did not go to bed until the last minute. Therefore she asks, please to warn next time if she goes somewhere or returns late. The divine beast asks if she is worried about a divine being. The main character smiles very sweetly and says that yes, he is her friend. Tiger lowers his head. He's a little upset, just a friend. It would be great if he wagged his tail with joy. Lionel asks how her conversation with that friend went in the end. They didn't chat for long, only half an hour, so she was surprised when she didn't find him. The divine beast was very surprised. Exactly half an hour. It felt like 2. The girl confirms 30 minutes. She looked at her watch, so she is absolutely sure of her words. The tiger thought, in that case, it really was possible to wait. Hannah asks herself, was it interest? Oh, and she so wanted everything to remain on a friendly path. The main character says that of course she didn't ask to wait, but apparently she was still counting on it. Here the man stops and mutters something under his breath. The girl is very surprised. It seems he got it all wrong. The divine beast turns back into a human, his hair shining. His face is very red. Hannah is slowly driving him crazy. Everyone else is also very surprised, but Fornex likes it. She had to see it up close. The girl asked to transform without warning. What is he doing? Everyone is watching. They finally reached the entrance to the Guamo Mountains. It took some time. Here the main character notices something near her, below. There are blue acorns lying under her feet. They look very strange and unusual. Lionel warns that when she takes them out of here, they will become normal. But they looked beautiful. It would be nice to get a couple for myself. This is the fairy road. The divine beast bends down and picks up an acorn. The simpler it looks, the more confusing the road. With a careful movement, he throws it forward deep into the forest, after which he says the magic words, "Open sesame." This is the same as entering someone else's house without an invitation. And if it's on someone's wedding day, some kind of portal opens. This is visible because the space is distorted. The man analyzes what's inside and notices something. He turns to the people and says, there is one small problem. There is a wedding going on here right now, but others don't understand what the problem is. Bringing people with weapons to a mountain dweller's wedding is strictly prohibited. Then they won't be able to pass. And Hannah was so interested to see the fairy road. If there are blue acorns here, maybe the forest there is blue. Chad says his product has an expiration date, so the man interrupts him. There's nothing he can do. He said he sells olive oil and cheese, right? If so, then we need to bring all the white clothes we have and give them to Hannah. She probably doesn't know, but details are important in things like this. The divine beast grew a large nail like a claw and took a strand of hair. With a careful movement of his hand, he cut off a small piece. Then I put it in one of the bottles with olive oil. Everything inside immediately began to bubble and shine. Others thought it was magic or some kind of alchemy. Lionel says that this will serve as an offering to the mountain spirits. It is considered very valuable. The main character asks, is she really that expensive? He confirms that the divine beasts no longer exist. But what happens if you drink this miracle cure? The man replies that it is a universal cure for all diseases. Hearing this, the young man shudders. Maybe he should take one of these too. The divine beast asks them to stop fantasizing. It's not for them. After some time, the gifts were ready and all neatly folded. Lionel turns around. Well, now it's the main character's turn. There is something that looks like a veil hanging on her head. It seems that nothing else was found. The girl is smiling. Her outfit is just like a bride's. What are they gonna do? The man takes her hand and says that now she will be his betrothed. Cheng asks if they are really going to have a fake wedding. Lionel asks his companion to break one of the bottles. It seems he doesn't have to go with them. The young man apologizes. It won't happen again. The girl laughs a little. Once they enter, you just need to put out the bottles of oil. The fairies will take them themselves. Everything will be different there. Alcohol, idle chatter jokes, swearing, smoking, picking fruits and leaves, breaking trees, throwing stones, squashing insects are prohibited. Chung asks what will happen if someone makes a little mistake. The look of the divine beast is serious and frightening death. The guy warns everyone to be careful, and the girl is just in shock. She asks Lionel if they will really go along with this show. It's obvious as day that this is a setup, but they have to respect them and try to pretend so that the gates will be opened for them. After these words, the man stares at his companion for some time. She notices his gaze and feels somehow awkward. Suddenly, he presses her closer to him, and she says that she must at least pretend that she accepts his love if she is going to become his bride. The main character moves away, and what should she do in such a situation? The divine beast answers a little sadly, "Just keep quiet." But why her? She could have found another girl. But that doesn't mean she wants to give up this role. Lionel, without a word, tenderly kisses Hannah on the forehead. He looks away and apologizes. He couldn't resist. The main character is very embarrassed. Her face looks like a tomato. The man bends over. What kind of situation is this? The girl already feels his breath near her neck. She really did not consciously desire this, and was waiting for the kiss. The divine beast smiles despite the boundary between them. Instead, they bump foreheads. Lionel telling her not to be afraid is not a kiss. He just needed to mark her so that she would truly be considered a bride. It seems that it's not just Hannah who is confused. Everyone else who saw it was too. Well, it's time for them to set out on their journey. They can't stay any longer. The main character thought that the fairy road would be special, but it looks like an ordinary forest path, nothing more. The young man didn't think that it would be so difficult to remain silent the whole way. The tiger is the first to start talking, which surprises the girl very much. He himself explained to everyone that it was forbidden to talk and that it was breaking the rules. The man explains that they are the bride and groom. Other people can't. Walking silently is the foundation of the foundations, but now almost no one remembers this tradition. One of the forest dwellers brings a flower to the divine beast. Times are changing. The girl replies that it even sounded somewhat philosophical from his lips. The man smiles and turns to his companion with a plant in his hands. He puts a flower behind the main character's ear. This emphasizes her image. After the death of all divine beings, the world became like this. Lionel asks not to look at him like that. He asks if she knows how divine beasts are born. While still in the womb, babies should not be exposed to conflicting influences or fed unhealthy foods. They must be born in a mystical place, and only then can they become intelligent beings. Later on, he will look like a very ordinary animal. Having passed many roads between life and death, yours is only good. The beast must finally fall asleep together. There he will gain spiritual strength. By being reborn, one can borrow power from the mountain god, and when he accumulates enough divine knowledge, he can finally become a divine being. It is not as easy as it seems. So it turns out that divine beasts can't appear on their own now, right? The man takes her hand and says that she is asking exactly the same question as the late king. The main character freezes for a second and thinks, the previous king, there is no one in the world who does not know about the atrocities of the king 100 years ago. To the rest of the people, he is just a king from the past. And for Lionel, for him, he is the most terrible person on the planet. Something is happening here. Someone's roar can be heard nearby. Hannah turns around, frightened, not understanding what is happening. The atmosphere changed quickly. All the mercenaries were scared and lost control. It was a bear. The crowd started screaming and breaking the rules. People began to grab weapons. Everyone forgot the words of the divine beast. The ground began to crack underfoot, and no one understood what was happening. The group split into two parts. Everyone was even more scared. Some strange voice kept calling and calling Lionel Millard. The main character noticed that something had happened to Fornex. She lay motionless with many drops of blood nearby. The young man roared and shouted her name. It seemed she was very dear to him. Hannah froze. She realized that if she ran to her, she herself could get hurt. But this did not stop her. The girl took a step towards danger. This is the only chance. Only now can she save her. There was a landslide, and a rock was heading straight for the main character's head. The divine beast did not have time to do anything and react in time. He screamed with all his might, begging her to stop because it was dangerous. The main character's veil was torn and stained red. This region is dying out. Someone couldn't just leave everything and go away. He wanted Hannah to become the savior of this land. So she must live, at least she. She must become a benefactor and save this world. The main character seemed to have woken up from a terrible nightmare. The girl hears a conversation near her fornix, is glad that she woke up. Hannah tries to get up. Her head hurts terribly. It seems that the woman's interlocutor was spirits, even several of them. He is the mountain spirit of this area, a fox. The creature says that the girl has very stupid actions. Fornex seems fine. But right now, Hannah doesn't need to worry about others. She needs to take care of herself. A stone fell on her head, but now she hardly even feels any pain. The spirit replies that they used olive oil given to them by her fiancé. Okay, that's clear. But what is this place, and where is Lionel now? The foxes ask if she is really curious, but the tiger will get angry if he finds out. The main character asks again, get angry, but why? They hadn't seen him this angry in 100 years, maybe more. Is this really a big problem? The mountain spirit got angry and asked me to make him laugh. It's a real problem for them. He can just kill them. She is here now because she ruined his wedding. The girl is unhappy if anyone is to blame. It's the bear. But did anyone force them to come here on the day of such an important ceremony? They themselves entered the forbidden territory. The foxes interrupt each other. One wants to say something, but the other shuts him up. But he can't stand it anymore. It's actually a wedding. For some reason, the mountain spirits begin to deform and gradually dissolve. The main character doesn't understand. Is it good that the wedding was ruined? The creature turned into a real fox. The girls were very surprised. The fox with 4 tails says that she is very smart. Fornex is delighted with this view. Really cute. But Hannah doesn't care, she prefers cats, and they apparently don't even realize how terrifying the mountain spirits are. The girl asks if the tiger was looking for her. If ruining the wedding turned out to be good, why not let them go? The fox becomes smaller and plops down on some mushrooms nearby. He likes that the girl is not stupid at all, but there is a certain order in this world. The creature asks what Hannah's last name is. She replies that she doesn't. The mountain spirit immediately realized that she was lying. His name is Damie, and he rules this area. The fox caught them, only for his own safety. Lionel promised to kill them all. He can't defeat the divine beast, so he ran away instead, which can't be entered by a supporter. The woman takes his breath away again. She is so nice to him, only because he is a cutie. The main character says that it is not too late. Maybe he should talk to Lionel. What does she suggest? If she and we are so dear, she can come up with a way herself. Why again did they put everything on her? It was the same in the past. Hannah's gaze becomes empty and different. She is so tired of everything. She pretends that everything is normal and says that she doesn't understand anything about such things. Then the fox wonders, maybe she really is an ordinary person. If he wants, he will discuss this situation with the divine beast himself, and he must let them go. That's right. She's just an ordinary person, and she doesn't know what's going on in the universe. A man who does nothing but work and eat bread every day. And she is grateful for such a life. She doesn't need anything more. This is very important to her, and the support of other people gives her the strength to move on. The fox listened to her completely and could tell that these words were sincere. Lionel has already gone to sort things out. In any case, this wedding was not desired, so everything is fine. The girl asks, so the bear didn't just appear out of nowhere? Do they really think that because they are so cute, everything is forgivable? The mountain spirit jumps up for this. He will allow you to touch his tail. It is not easy to become a divine beast. That is why the creature does not understand why Lionel is so angry because of her. Becoming a divine being means cutting oneself off from people because they reach a level of enlightenment that no one else can reach. This is how humanity differs from the gods. But why? Why then, at the end of the path of such a benefactor, did a man appear who captured mountains, fields, and seas, and killed many divine beings? The fox asks what kind of relationship Hannah has with the man. The main character replies that it's nothing special, just friends. Such a rich scent after all. It is still a mountain spirit, which is associated with love. Despite the lie, he understands why she says that. The girl is not stupid to expect him to decide to tie himself to a man. It's because of longevity, right? The main character is silent, but one can guess that he guessed right. Hannah always looks away when she wants to hide her feelings, but sometimes it's good to open your heart. Fornex picks up the fox again and lifts him above himself. Who says that mountain spirits are not actually a toy for people? The girl repeats again that since the problem with the wedding is solved, he can let them go. The creature didn't want to start such a mess either. He was going to take a few people with him and try to negotiate with them. She is a bride, and her clothes smelled of Fornex. Since they were so close to each other that they exchanged things, the fox thought that Hannah would come to save her. That was the plan, until someone got hit on the head. The mercenary thought she was going to kick the bucket, but unfortunately, he can't let them go right now. The mountain spirit did harm the divine beast's bride after all. And he is also a tiger. Even in times when other deities existed, he was one of the strongest. And one could say that he practically encroached on his property. Because of this, the fox with 4 tails lost 2 whole mountains. If you count everything together, it is approximately 1,600 hectares. But how did he? Did he really destroy it with his own paws? It's probably better not to think about it. How could the spirit know that a divine being could be so angry? It would have been good if he had stopped on the path that leads to the mountains. In any case, where the deity brought destruction, life does not revive. Fornex doesn't understand why everything is so complicated. Even a donkey would understand. Lionel likes the main character. No one will destroy mountains for no reason. Now all the girl has to do is ask him to sleep with her. It's very easy and simple. But Hannah doesn't understand why she should have to clean up the mess. The mercenary's gaze became more serious. This was no longer a joke. She stands up and warns that it's really time for the baby to start acting. Because only she can influence that man. It's okay if... The girl's voice becomes rougher. To be honest, she doesn't understand why she should take responsibility for the lives of others. She doesn't like imposed responsibility, imposed obligations, and imposed life. She would like to get rid of all this forever, but she can't, because life itself is a responsibility. But why did she run to save Fornex? People need to be saved. That's what my father said. The woman gets up and says that her father seemed to be thinking sensibly, but she is strange. After which the question arises, is she really human? The main character smiles strangely and answers that yes. Then the mercenary takes out her sword. She will make a choice for the girl. Hannah must promise the fox that she will spare his life if she lets them go. Otherwise, no one will survive. There is no other way Fornex wants to live on, so she will choose the option that will keep her alive. Among the people Lionel advised the girl to stick to, there was no mercenary, and now she understands why. The main character gets up and says that nothing can be done. She takes a step towards her opponents, without the slightest fear. She calls for Lionel. She needs him now this very second. A golden glow emanates from the girl, and a chain appears. The mountain spirit has never seen anything like this, but he knows that it is an ancient artifact. The tiger's claws seem to cut through space, and a roar can be heard. The divine beast has arrived, its eyes shining and destroying everything in its path. The main character smiles. She really sees him. She is delighted in her hands. There is truly simply unimaginable power. The man extends his hand. He is happy. Finally, she turned to him for help. The characters were thrown aside. It was quite painful. The divine beast and the main character hold on to each other. She heard that he managed to destroy 2 whole mountains, and she sang to sacrifice herself, so it was nothing for him to do it. The man's gaze became anything but friendly when he mentioned the girl's head. Hannah finally realizes that he really is angry because of her. If only she had ordered him to save 4 necks, it wouldn't have come to this. Lionel doesn't understand why she keeps refusing his help. The girl replies that she could have helped her herself, so why use his power? The divine beast asks if she really thinks so. Looking at her companion's face, she blushed, and the main character turns away. Of course not. She just didn't want to remain in debt. The man knows how she lived before and what she has already experienced, but she is not a god and cannot solve everything on her own. Accepting help does not mean remaining indebted to someone. The girl is indeed smart and wise, but it will be difficult for her to change somehow. I really wish she would learn to trust at least him. The man doesn't want to see a stone thrown at her head again. The main character apologizes. She should have thought about him at that moment. Hannah is already pulling away. She misunderstood him. Don't be stubborn. Just let him worry about her. Lionel was grateful that she had sent him, after all. The girl turns away and says, "Thank you for coming." After speaking, the divine beast snaps 2 fingers. 4 necks slowly begins to disappear and become transparent. He sent the mercenary back to Chen, where she would be safe. Now it's the mountain spirit's turn. Well, is he ready? The man also asks his companion to return to the others. He still has some things to finish here. When asked when he would return, he said in half an hour. The main character thinks for some time, but still asks him not to kill Damie. Lionel's eyes widen, unsure what's going on in his head. He turns his kittenish gaze to Hannah. She really does have a natural nobility. As the son of Ba and Anakla and master of the Daltai mountain ranges, he swears on his name that he will do nothing to cause her worry. The main character's hair is blown by a pleasant wind, and she smiles sincerely. The events take place in the place where all the mercenaries stopped. Sheng is bawling his eyes out. He asks 4necks if everything is okay, how she makes his life difficult. The woman can't even imagine how worried he was. Hannah sat on the boxes where the olive oil was stored. Now they are all broken. She looks into space with some sadness frozen in her thoughts. Lionel Millard is handsome, strong, and rich. He has connections to the most powerful man in the countries. Moreover, it is a one-of-a-kind, divine beast. Compared to him, she lives in a village, is an orphan, and not rich. Plus, she is not particularly beautiful. He approached the girl just like that without thinking or doubting. He didn't ask 2 personal questions, but he immediately admitted his mistakes. The man never became arrogant about who he was. And even in a situation where she almost died, he did not give in to emotions and did not run to her with hugs. A divine beast, he always treated his companion with courtesy. Here someone calls the main character, which makes her raise her head and become distracted. Lionel arrived. He seems to be in a good mood. Has she been waiting for him for too long? He arrived sooner than Hannah expected. She thought he would be more than an hour late. The girl becomes even more embarrassed when she hears that only 15 minutes have passed. Then the main character remembers a moment where they also talked about time. The man leans over a little and says with concern that she is a little blushing. Now Hannah can only admit that she really likes Lionel. The mountain spirit asked for forgiveness for his unworthy behavior. The situation was resolved successfully thanks to Damie. A fox-drawn cart appeared, so the transport problem was solved. The lost luggage was compensated with cheese and olive trees that appeared from somewhere, and they also paid monetary compensation to Chad. The main character overhears a conversation. Why does anyone need to be careful? This is Chen and 4necks. The young man tells her to promise to be careful in the future. Since he got her, she has no choice but to agree. A divine beast approaches the girl and notices her thoughtful look. She whispers and asks if the young man likes the mercenary. Lionel leaned in a little too close, it seemed, and most likely Fornex feels the same way, otherwise she wouldn't have followed him. Then the main character wants to ask one more important question. What did he do with Damie? Did everything really end well? The divine beast remains silent for a while, looking intently at its companion. The fox is alive, but didn't she want revenge because she almost died? A pleasant wind blows, hair flutters, but they still survived. As for Fornex, she wouldn't have done that if she had another way out of the situation. The man tells Hannah that she doesn't look like an ordinary person. The main character's a little confused, but after a period of silence, she simply smiles mysteriously. There are screams coming from the mercenaries. Is it really time for them to go back already? The young man bows before Lionel Millard and thanks him from the bottom of his heart for saving Fornex. She lacks manners, but she is a really good woman. They start arguing again. Cheng also thanks the girl, so she is a little surprised. But it was she who ran to the mercenary, and he simply couldn't even hold her back. The main character asks me to cry. Everything is fine. Everyone would have done the same in her place. The young man leans closer. Is it true, or does she think so? He thinks otherwise. The divine beast places his hand on the young man's shoulder. So what can Cheng Romeo now tell his descendants? That he helped Lionel Millard himself. He is shocked that the divine beast recognized him and called him by his full name. Naturally, where will he go? Hannah laughs. She was very amused by their dialogue. Traveling really is fun. Fornex and the main character's gaze meet. The mercenary turns around without saying a word, but the girl understood everything. So they said goodbye to Chen and his people. They continued their journey. Their next stop was in a small town. Hannah tells her emotions. It was hectic, but quite fun. She would be happy to meet them. The man remembers that he needs to give his companion something. He carefully places it in her hand. Damie asked me to give this to her. It's a fox glass ball that will send her anywhere she wants. She truly deserved something like this. Thanks to her, the mountain spirit got away with only one tail. That was the price for forgiveness. The main character clutches the pearl tightly in her hand. Such a good thing. The divine beast even became embarrassed. The sight of a happy girl was truly incredible. They come up to a man from behind and say he's Lionel Millard, right? The first girl in a blue dress and golden hair asks if he is free tonight. The second one looks a little simpler, but is very similar, and offers to have dinner together. The third very sweet girl wants to talk one-on-one just for a minute. Hannah is very annoyed. Yeah, and they're all blondes. How can that be? Lionel's face darkened, and he began to beg for forgiveness. Looks like a little cat that has misbehaved with its owner. It's really cute. But there has to be some kind of limit. The man is just completely out of control. The main character turns and looks at her companion with a smile, after which he asks why he hasn't gotten married yet. Lionel replies that humans die too quickly, but he once had divine beast friends, right? Long-term communication does not mean that you must necessarily get married. The man is a little surprised. Did Hannah really ask him a personal question? So he can too. What about her then? The divine beast also asks why she doesn't have a lover. The girl turns around and answers, he's just not there, and she doesn't really know anyone in the village. She also has pretty high standards for men. But to tell the truth, blondes are also fine with her now. This left Lionel stunned. He had some time to recover while his companion changed. The man raises his hand to his beautiful face. He turned red as a tomato. This is completely unfair. It was already dark outside. The stars were just beginning to appear. The characters prepared dinner for themselves, outdoors, in the open air. The girl is looking at the man intently. Is there something on his face? How can she put it correctly? She feels very comfortable with him. A generous assessment. He really does speak like a real person. The longer a man lived with people, the more he felt the need to understand them. Surely at the beginning it was uncomfortable and inconvenient. But what about now? The divine beast turns away to hide his emotions. The only thing he didn't like was human silence. They were too different. Lionel knows that he is different from people and is well aware that this can cause discomfort, but he still hoped that they would tell him honestly what they didn't like. That's why he became a mercenary. Whatever they are, at least they are straightforward. In fact, the fact of being different from others is not the main problem at all. On the contrary, the problem is in them. They cannot accept Lionel, no matter how much they want to, because he is a divine beast, but humanity itself does not try to change. The man spent a lot of time to become like a human, a whole 500 years. The girl puts the half-empty plate back on the ground, and there really is a lot. Tigers don't live in packs, so it takes a long time to meet a good person. If he had met someone like Hannah earlier, he would have been able to achieve the same result much faster. Is this a hint that she is straightforward? The man has only recently mastered this skill. The main character gets up because she remembers that today the cleaning is on her. Lionel says, no, she's already given up everything for him, so it's only fair that he does this for her. It's not difficult for him at all, and the girls will be very pleased. Hannah realizes that her feelings continue to grow more and more. The divine beast does not consider itself better than other creatures. The last time he was cold to her, for no reason, she still treated him tenderly and kindly. Usually he breaks off relationships immediately, but this was something special for him. That's why Lionel says that Hannah is truly special. She forgave Damie and gave him a second chance, curbing his whims. The man speaks as if she were some kind of saint, but the truth is not everyone can do that. That's why the tiger wants to take everything with a smile. Everyone can make mistakes, and he understands that. But he doesn't think that you can forgive even those who intentionally did something bad? Lionel replies, of course not, but even among those, there may be one who has truly stumbled. Because of this, he wants to give people a second chance. He is a divine beast, so he will hardly suffer. If only one of the 1,000 beings he had forgiven knew how sweet kindness could be received from a stranger, that would be enough for him. It turns out that the man initially wanted her to forgive the mountain spirit. He smiles and says, it turns out that it is so. But he didn't say so. After all, forgiveness is a personal choice, for everyone personal freedom. In the end, she herself showed them mercy and gave them a second chance. The main character turns away in embarrassment and replies that she simply didn't want to make a big deal out of the tragedy. True, it's better to pretend there's nothing to do than to do nothing at all. Well, it's time for them to go to bed. A long road awaits them tomorrow morning. He turned into a tiger, and Hannah lay down next to him and covered herself with a blanket. For some time, she still could not fall asleep peacefully. The girl stared at the large tabby cat. The longer she and Lionel talk, the more she likes him. However, for some reason she has a bad feeling about this. Divine beings should look something like an ordinary animal because they spread grace into this world. 100 years ago, there were still 23 divine beings, so the world was 23 times more beautiful than it is now. If only the former king had not desired them, they would have, like Lionel, assimilated with the people and blessed them. Then the deities could try to accept and understand even such a king. But they are gone now, and only Lionel Millard remains. Did the previous ruler foresee this outcome? Did he know that humans would be at the top of the food chain in this fabulous and vast world? Divine beasts are said to be the embodiment of mercy. They are capable of shaking the sky and the earth and feel no guilt at all for killing small animals. However, they are creatures that accept humanity with boundless generosity. Although the king failed, he hoped that she, born from his mistakes, would live a happy life. On this land from which the gods had gone, he hoped that she could survive, even if it was dirty, lacking money, or dying his only daughter Hannah. The events take place in the temple of the Mother Martyr, the tomb where the belongings of the dead divine beasts are kept. The place is known for its fruit wines, which he recommends trying if you get the chance. They can rest for a couple of days, as they saved a lot of time on the Guamo Trail. The girl really liked this idea, because when she heard it, her mouth started to water. The man put his hand on the main character's head. He asks, to let him know immediately if he suddenly feels ill. Hannah stares at Lionel Millard with a growing blush. She replies, "Oh, come on. This time they'll really drink." She wants a whole case. For some reason, the man fell silent again and looked down at them. The girl notices that today he is somehow not at all cash. Although it is understandable, the relics of the deceased divine beasts are kept here and they can be considered Lionel's family. Then Hannah asks if he minds splitting up for a while. The man smiles, wondering what she has in mind. Well, they're just always together, and she thought they both needed some space. Or did he want to go to the temple with her? There's a lot of interesting stuff there. Lionel takes his companion by the hand. She can go alone. She is not a little girl. But in case of danger, I must call him immediately. This answer completely satisfies the main character. But what if he finds out that she is the daughter of the king who killed his entire family? That's how they decided to temporarily separate from each other. Lionel will probably head north where the temple is, so she might go in the opposite direction. By the way, she has a strange feeling that someone is following her. The man behind her seems to be following her on purpose. Hannah asks, point blank, why is he following her? And those clothes, he's the elf from the mercenary pub? The secretive man asks not to make a fuss and to talk to him in another place. Somehow the main character feels uneasy, but he doesn't answer her questions. The events take place in what appears to be an abandoned building, with broken stones scattered everywhere. The girl stands in front of an unknown creature. There is no one nearby. The elf takes the edge of his robe and begins to lower it little by little. A man simple and at the same time graceful in appearance asks why she came here. The main character's look immediately changes. She is very surprised. The girl grabs her head and asks what? Was it him? Shouldn't he be in that village now? Elfa replies that she has an agreement with Ezekiel. Hannah didn't just come here. She came at Lionel's request. From her lips, it sounds like they have a close relationship. They will be closer than with the elf. She did not think that she would meet him like this, Zibril. They agreed that they would pretend they didn't know each other, didn't they? The man replies that if she had lived peacefully, this would not have happened. During the time when the girl still lived in the palace, everyone was always wondering, is this that daughter of the former king? They always pointed at her and weren't very friendly. And among them, there was one to whom she was especially hateful. The little main character loved to play with dolls, but there were few of them. She sat on a tree and talked alone with a doll they were going to play hide-and-seek now. The girl dropped a small stone, and it rolled down. There was a boom. It seemed to land right on someone's head. It was an uncle. The main character immediately apologized. A wound appeared on the man's forehead. At first, he wanted to say that everything was fine, but when he looked up and saw the culprit, he immediately changed. He grinned and said with hatred, "It is she, the degenerate of dirty blood." The main character could not forget the expression on his face. He looked at her as if he saw a pile of garbage, and now he did the same. Hannah hasn't revealed her identity yet, and the man knows it. Zibril says she should leave him alone. There's no way he can let her near the only remaining divine beast on earth. Elves are all the same. The girl's hands begin to tremble. She cannot leave him due to circumstances. The man asks to be given authority to obey. He will accompany Lionel Millard from now on. The main character freezes and stands silently for some time, after which he lets out a laugh. It really is funny. This makes Zibril flinch. He didn't expect such a reaction. Well, if he decided to ask her for something, he should do it more politely. He should get down on his knees and beg. Hannah repeats, "Come on, doggy. Get on all fours and beg. Why aren't you doing anything?" This made the man lose his temper. Had she really lost all fear since she had enlisted Ezekiel's support? If he doesn't like something, then Hai makes claims to Zeke. It's he who's crazy here, not her, since he's trying to kill her. If she's not mistaken herself, the chief ordered not to touch the girl, didn't he? Here he completely loses his composure and attacks Hannah. She doesn't have time to react or even notice in time. A hum is emitted that spreads throughout the abandoned temple. The man pressed his weight onto the girl, his hand near her throat. The main character is suffocating. Zibril is actually strangling her. He's furious he knew that the daughter and the father were the same. Two freaks. Hannah's eyes fill with tears. She's overcome with panic, and she can't breathe. Elves will no longer stand aside if they decide to kill a deity. Finally, Zibril calmed down and gradually began to come to his senses. The main character is all tattered. She clears her throat and tries to get up. If she really is different from him, then she should go and confess everything to Lionel. If the girl doesn't listen to the warning, then next time he will follow through. Hannah clutched her throat, her eyes looking empty and exhausted. It's raining outside, it's already dark, and evening has come. The girl walks forward. All the people around turn around. They have a lot of questions. This is Lionel Millard's fiancée, right? Why is she walking around like that? Her nobility has no place on this earth. People are selfish by nature. They don't place any hopes on each other. They don't expect anything. The main character looks up because she hears a pleasant and warm voice, like the rays of the sun. This is a divine beast. It appeared unexpectedly out of nowhere. He comes closer worried and asks if everything is okay. It doesn't look very good. First, I need to patch it up, go back and warm up. A man holds an umbrella to the main character to protect her from the rain. Hannah is afraid. If he finds out the truth that her father is the former king, Lionel might hate her. What's even more frightening is that the girl is afraid that she might hurt such a kind creature. He is afraid that he will finally lose hope, and like other sacred beasts, will be distracted from divinity. Before speaking, she remains silent for a long time. But in the end, she only apologizes. Lionel sits and waits obediently in front of the main character's bed. She is breathing heavily. Her throat is completely bandaged. The divine beast looks at his companion with sadness. The smell of a stranger tattered clothes, and also red marks on the neck. It's obvious, even to a hedgehog, that something happened. And she even apologized. For what? Why didn't she just say his name and let it come to this? When their travels are over, is she really going to break up with him? Lionel himself doesn't understand what's happening to him. He continues to call her name with such a face. Hannah was finally able to open her eyes and asked when they were leaving. The divine beast says that she doesn't need to think about that right now. Why doesn't she listen to him? Now her body is in such a state. Again, she doesn't call him. Even in a situation like this, doesn't she trust him? The girl jumps up and says that no, everything is not as he thinks. It's not about him. It's about her. A man is not guilty of anything and should not blame himself. If she really thinks so, then Lionel begs her to stop playing on his nerves. She looked like a puppy getting wet in the rain. How could he not be worried? Hannah smiles. Is the deity itself worried about her? What a success she has achieved. The man gently takes her hand. He understands that the girl has changed the subject. The main character even trembled a little and turned completely red. Lionel closes his eyes and gently kisses the tips of his fingers. Hannah knows he's not doing this out of generosity. The rain continued to pour, and there was darkness and sadness outside the window. The main character is definitely feeling better, but she looks a little shocked. Don't avoid him. Now rest. These were Lionel's last words before he left the room. After that, they did not cross paths for a long time, and he simply passes on food. Perhaps this could be called a relief for her. After all, if she sees him, she won't know how to behave. It seems that the man really likes her. There is no point in denying it. The girl touches the glass with her fingertips, and she seems to like it too. Their situation is too complicated. Lionel is the last divine being left on this earth, and she, the daughter of his sworn enemy who caused him so much pain. The city is covered by a big gray cloud. Oh, how hard it is. Looking up, the main character thinks when it will end. Here she hears that same warm and caring voice. Hannah. She was not mistaken. It was Lionel. She would know him from 1,000. It turns out he rented a room right next door. They are separated only by a wall. The girl asks why he is not sleeping. It is already quite late. The divine beast is worried because its mistress is sick. Even despite her behavior, he still does not arrange an interrogation. The man replies that there is most likely a reason why she does not want to talk about it. He trusts her so much, and Lionel knows her too well. The girl only had to say his name, nothing more. The divine beast replies that since she never spoke, it wasn't worth it. Hannah had called him in the Guamo Mountains and promised not to be stubborn in the future. So he believes that the main character had her reasons for it. Now she understands why all the women are crazy about him. Only the fire from the fireplace illuminates everything around. The girl asks if his friends were as merciful as he was. He gave in to them, but she nurtured this wonderful feeling in him. Hannah smiles. He's at it again. He knows how to shower her with compliments. Lionel hopes this line of thinking will not change no matter the circumstances. While each of them can speak to the others and accept praise, the man couldn't see her face at all, but the voice he heard was beautiful. Listening to her, one might think that he is not a deity, but simply a man with a very interesting pedigree. How much can he open up to, so as not to miss her? Lionel says that if he is a nuisance, she should answer honestly. If not, he will continue to behave the same way and will be even more persistent. To what extent will the man succeed in convincing the main character? She reaches out to feel the cold of the rain, all of it. If she develops feelings for a man, won't it become even more uncomfortable and problematic? It's hard to describe all the emotions of the divine beast. Was she only worried about this? At the very beginning, Hannah declared that she would not fall in love, and she thought it was for the best. Everything was like this until now, but so much has changed. The man replies that it would be nice if she would just forget about it, because he wants to start their relationship from scratch. The main character does not intend to remove her hand. The dialogue continues. Before she would have simply said no, but now she can't. Water flows from the palm, like tears, like the past, like regret. Then she must promise never to return wounded again. She promises. The man squeezes his hand to restrain himself. He wants to see so much. He wants to run up and look into her eyes. He wants to tell her so much. But it's time to say goodbye. It's late. The moon has risen too high. The girl says goodnight and leaves. The man no longer hears her voice. Although he intentionally didn't say anything, he immediately recognized the smell on her body. Now the main character, for some reason, is very closely connected with the elves. He is sure that something happened between them, in a place unknown to him. Her hesitation and the faint trace of elf, they definitely know each other. And it is definitely connected to him, to Ezekiel Escott. The events take place in the office of the royal palace of Amahan. The servant informs that it is time for the master to go to bed too. The head of the elves lowers his gaze. So much time has passed. Finally, morning came, and the weather became good again. The main character stretches. She slept well and feels better. When you rest for a long time, it seems as if your body becomes lighter. Lionel comes up to her beaming and asks how she slept. Did he just decide to forget about that night? Hannah replies that everything is fine. He too, breakfast is ready, so they head downstairs. The man keeps looking at the girl intently, without looking away. Then he extends his hand and calls her by name, and asks the question, can they walk together as a real couple? Lionel just wanted to make sure he wasn't forcing his feelings on her. Judging by the main character's expression, there is nothing to worry about. She runs forward, very embarrassed. The man calls her cutie. Hannah doesn't understand how this tiger's behavior changed in just one morning. For example, during the meal, he kept asking if she needed anything. At the medical examination, I admired it and was glad that everything was normal again. And now, this amazing smile. How much longer can this go on? It's unbearable. The main character begs him not to look at her like that again. It looks like he's doing this on purpose now to spite or to make the girl happy. The divine beast's beautiful face is simply irresistible. Hannah closes her eyes. It's too dazzling. The beautiful always get away with it. But Amelia would probably be happy if they started dating. It's time to admit that it just so happened that they like each other. Something suddenly clicks in the main character's heart, and she covers her face with her hands. It seemed like her thoughts made her boil like a kettle. Lionel says without humor that her whole face is red. Is she really sick? The man starts to get a little nervous. He wants to touch. Right now, grab and hug. Be as close as possible. Touching his body waist, hands, face, everything, and so that it belongs only to him. Lionel wants to propose that they become newlyweds and live on the coast, have a child or two. But these are just thoughts and dreams. For now, people really started to look at them as a couple. Someone comes up from behind and addresses Lionel Millard. He is offered to take alcohol snake tincture completely free of charge. It helps well at night if the man understands what the merchant is talking about, although he can do everything. But with this, there will be unforgettable feelings. A whole crowd rushed forward and greeted the divine being offering gifts. Hannah waves her hand. Well, the venerable Lionel seems to have a lot of things to do and will have to stay late. Finally, the man was able to catch up with her, and yet how heartless she was. She left him alone because he is strong and great. He can handle it himself. Lionel is shining again, which is why she fell for him. He has no shortage of self-confidence. That's why the main character tries even harder to fit in. A man asks Hannah if she knows one very important thing. A person's beauty can be assessed objectively, but if someone seems cute to someone else, this is already a subjective opinion, since personal feelings and emotions are mixed in. That's why now, the main character seems like a real cutie to him. She turns away, embarrassed, so as not to show her feelings even more. Continuing yesterday's conversation, he doesn't know what happened to her. But without even looking at this, he promises that everything will be fine. Even if the girl thinks that this is some kind of irreparable matter, he will be able to help. The divine beast smiles and is about to say those very important words. But then some man interrupts them and asks them to wait a little. He holds a chain in his hands. He wanted to give it to Lionel Millard. Before leaving, he apologizes if he disturbed you, but it wasn't on purpose. The characters turn to each other. Their moment has been ruined. But they are not upset at all. On the contrary, they are laughing. There are people who can't read the atmosphere. Nothing can be done. The events take place in the very center of LeBlanc. There is a luxurious palace there. Hannah never thought that she would have to return to this city. When asked if this is her first time here, the girl replies that this is actually her hometown. Now Lionel understood why she sometimes used the LeBlanc dialect, but she tried so hard to hide. Was it really that noticeable? The man simply knows this city too well. They can walk around the city a little later if they want. But later they will have to meet with Ezekiel Escott in Amahont and choose a day to destroy the relic in rhodium that throws lightning. They still had some free time, so Hannah was happy to walk around the city. The man understood this from the very beginning, so this is not news. The main character was embarrassed. Once again, she didn't think it would be so obvious. People are carrying luggage into the cart. There are already a lot of boxes there. Well, the cargo is loaded. All that's left is to pass the checkpoint. Lionel says the capital is big enough. Maybe he can cast a spell in case of loss. He can, of course, find it by smell, but he will be weakened there. Hannah laughs and says that if they lose each other, they will meet at the bronze statue of the lily. She may seem cold, but she acts like any other person would. There's nothing wrong with that. The divine beast looks and admires its mistress. If it comes to that, maybe they won't destroy the relic at all. If they don't do this, the girl will be able to call on him whenever she is in danger. Hannah doesn't know how to resist his cute face. What a cutie! Lionel makes a very serious and sly look. And how can she do that? He turns into a little tiger and licks his paw. The main character is almost in tears and squeals at the top of her lungs. He takes the divine beast and says, "How cute." He knows that the girl has a weakness for this. And then there's such a baby. This is too much. How can you not love this? All is fair in war. Well, Hannah lost and admits defeat. When she asks to bite his ear, the tiger cub touches her with his paw. This was the last straw. The girl is standing near the entrance to the capital. There are 2 guards there. They are standing in line, like everyone else, but then they are called out. People ask why they stood in line. Dear Lionel Millard, next time he can just walk through. To make a splash later, he doesn't want to attract much attention this time. In any case, the guards let the characters through without asking any questions. And they didn't even ask the girl's name. If she's not from here, then can she just come in? She is the companion of the divine beast, so there is no problem. Well, welcome to La Blanta. It seems the man did a lot for this country and lived a long life. Hannah wouldn't say he's just been here for a long time. Everyone around him looks at him with such tenderness. The divine beast helped, yes, but also their ancestors. It turns out that the residents are grateful to them for their kindness to their parents. They don't owe him anything, and yet they continue to behave like this. The main character asks, isn't it the same in nature? Everything is even more brutal there. Still, the girl manages to do what she wanted so much. The tiger cub pretends to be angry. You can't touch his ears. Someone addresses them again, forcing Hannah to look away. It's an old woman. Her hands are shaking, but she still asks to take it, please. It turns out there are walnuts there, which really surprises the main character. Granny says she was very grateful to Lionel Millard. Then, the divine beast twitches its ears and tries to remember something. Well, it's time for her to leave. May they continue on their journey with good luck. The tiger cub says she was just a baby when he saw her last. About 80 years ago, she lost her parents in a natural disaster and followed him to the capital. Then he helped her find a job and guardians. And when it was time to say goodbye, he gave her walnuts as a keepsake. People so predictable. Very interesting. He doesn't like elves, but he loves humanity very much. The divine beast turns and answers. The elves are unchanged. This is very important because in this world, nothing is constant, and stagnant water will eventually die. The catalyst for change is often a person. If this continues, these unfortunate creatures will become victims of natural selection. History does not stand still. And who can provide her with changes? Not him, but only people change at least something. This explains the man's behavior. His main goal is for humanity not to use its resources for bad things, but to direct its forces to something good. Then the main character asks the question, is something like this even possible? Lionel helps you get back on your feet, and fate decides the rest. The tiger cub's eyes reflect the woman of his life, from whom he will not be able to turn away under any circumstances. With sadness in her eyes, Hannah asks if he can forgive the past king. The divine beast looks away unsure about this. The girl explains that it is not necessary to forgive him. No one has the right to force someone to understand and forgive someone else's mistake. No one. They sit together in silence, the tabby kitten dozing off a little near his owner on the way. The main character looks very thoughtful and keeps looking out the window. Sooner or later, a meeting with Ezekiel will decide everything about what will happen next. Finally, these two reach the right place for which they had traveled such a long way. Here, nothing has changed since the time she was here. These cage-like windows, decorated with golden fittings. Every corner, she knows it very well. So many memories. Here, as a little girl, she ran around carefree. The girl remembers her little version. It is a reflection of her. The child's face was so happy and joyful. The main character smiles, remembering the old days. Here they are met by a black-haired elf, Ronnie. They haven't seen Lionel for a long time. Now we need to prepare everything for the sealing procedure as soon as possible. The look in this man's eyes says, what is she doing here? Hannah's mood immediately changes, but he himself doesn't see it. This elf treats her like everyone else, the second in power in the Chamber of Ministers. The girl looks away so as not to remember the bad things she experienced. But unfortunately, she can't do it. They know each other well enough. Tiger Cub introduces Hannah as his companion. She accompanied him to the capital for the seal, so he should treat her well. Well, Ronnie turns around, ready to take them to Ezekiel. The divine beast gently touches its owner with its paw to attract her attention. She immediately feels better. She picks up little Lionel and takes him in her arms. The disgruntled elf turns around in confusion. What is she allowing herself to do? It's not her initiative, so he can't say anything. They argue like a cat and a dog. Ronnie could only resign himself to it. He didn't dare say another word. Most likely Hannah has heard a lot about the leader and does not need to explain anything to him. Lionel will do the talking, so there is nothing to do. It would be nice, but not as soon as they meet. The girl imagines a disaster where the elf reveals that she is the daughter of a former king. He wouldn't do that, would he? He's very cautious, so he probably wouldn't do that, but still, her hands start to shake. The tiger cub notices this and asks if something is bothering her. If so, then she need not worry, he will have enough strength to protect her. He thinks she's afraid of elves, but the reality is different. She fears that when Ezekiel reveals the truth, the man will begin to despise her. Hannah exhales and pretends to just be really nervous. The main character strokes the cute little animal's head. After all, he is beautiful. After which, he asks a strange question. Who will win in a fight between him and the head of the elves? These are the kinds of questions that little children usually ask. But the girl doesn't remember discussing it with anyone. The divine beast promises that he will not allow anyone to harm her, including Escott. Hannah asks to swear on her name. It is dangerous to break such promises. She smiles carefreely, and you can't tell from her face that everything is bad. They finally reach the main door and can now enter. The main character still hesitates a little, but it's too late to go back. She takes a step towards danger because she can't turn back. It's too late. Entering the office, they see an elf. It seems he is a little busy, but for the sake of such guests, he puts aside his paper pen and work. Welcome, she's here again, princess. A streak of memories passes between them. The man smiles sincerely. The voice of the divine beast made the main character come to her senses. The tiger cub jumps out of his owner's arms and carefully lands on the ground. With a very serious look, he says that they haven't seen each other for a long time. To greet his guests, Ezekiel also stands up. He closes his eyes and says in a very calm voice, Hannah missed something important. It's not just her companion who hates the former king. Welcome, Lionel Millard and Hannah. It's a pleasure to welcome you. The divine beast didn't expect such a turn of events. He was very surprised. The girl answers a little rudely. Well, hello, Ez. A little tiger cub suddenly turns into a man. You can see how angry he is. Like, why did he call her by her name? How do they know each other? The voice becomes more and more frightening and fierce. The elf asks to get dressed before continuing the conversation. Ronnie sees Lionel off, and when he returns, he will demand an explanation for their relationship. The divine beast leaves the characters alone with each other. When the main character wants to say something, she is stopped. He puts his finger to his mouth, thus saying that he needs to be quieter. Then he stretches out his hand and moves his fingers, conjuring some kind of magic. A magical parchment appears near Hannah. This is for caution. Lionel Millard hears everything, even from another room. He doesn't know his story. Should he hide it any longer? The girl replies in writing that she doesn't want to reveal all her cards yet. They will talk about this a little later. A loud slam of the door is heard. It even makes the girl flinch. The divine beast has come well. Now that everyone is dressed, we can talk. The head prepares everything and asks them to sit down at the table. Everything was already set, 3 cups of tea, cookies, and other goodies. He chose a good master for himself. The man lets out a laugh. Is he really joking? Ezekiel replies that he has never made a joke before. Isn't he here because of the seal? The main character feels a little awkward, but she can't resist the cookies. She needs to eat away stress somehow. Ez is not going to deviate from the matter and talk about his personal life. Lionel looks at Hannah with displeasure. Personal life, right? When he calls her name, the girl starts to shake. So he's now saying that they are connected in some personal way, and he hasn't heard anything about it? The elf intervenes and says that there is no need to intimidate the girl. He asks again to intimidate. And where is that Ezekiel he knew? The elf, who doesn't even blink an eye despite the countless deaths before him. The divine beast is simply convinced that the two of them are hiding something from him. The two of them look at each other. Who will tell him everything first? The man continues to sit angrily and watch them. Ez couldn't find a better excuse than to say that the thing is that she is his sister. There was silence in the room for a second. Was that too stupid? As Lionel already knows the elves want to migrate, and it seemed to him that humans could help them with this. He couldn't allow Hannah to stay in the palace as a servant, so he gave her his last name. The girl clenches her fists and confirms that her last name is Hannah Escott. This answer really surprises the man. Is this what he expected to hear? He turns and sighs that this time he will believe. The divine beast asks the main character to sit closer. She extends her hand without any problem or suspicions. Lionel pulls her closer to him with a sharp movement. Such actions made the head nervous and a little worried. Was it envy? The man uses even more force so that she cannot escape, but also so that it does not hurt. Hannah is very embarrassed. They are so close now. The divine beast touches his lips to her ear. That was the plan. He glances at Ezekiel to see his reaction. His eyes express hatred and disgust. Is a real war beginning? The man squeezes the girl's hand in his tenderly and pleasantly. The main character has already stopped resisting. She looks so innocent. The divine beast has been holding back for so long now, it's all on fire. Forgetting everything he thinks, maybe this is his chance. Just a little bit more. The elf can't stand it. He's not going to endure it any longer. He orders Lionel Millard to stop. The man smiles slyly. Well, that's enough for now. He lets go of the main character and removes his hand. He looks at Hannah with a cat-like gaze. She doesn't seem angry. You can even say that she is disappointed. You can see it on her face. The main character turns away so that he cannot read her emotions, but it is too late. She realizes that, to be honest, she really liked it. In the silence, a voice is heard, a voice filled with authority. Dance. The elf clenches his fists, barely hiding his fear under a mask of cold-bloodedness. What he's talking about is that you can't force someone to do something they don't want to do. Lionel says he doesn't force her. Why would he say that? Or maybe he's nervous about his little sister. The divine beast asks his companion to step outside for a moment. But if she leaves now, they will definitely tear something apart from each other. So the girl refuses. No way. She will sit here. The atmosphere is becoming increasingly tense. It would be good if she would play along, at least sometimes, dear Hannah. From these words, the girl's heart began to beat faster. He definitely went crazy. She suggests taking a little break and then continuing the conversation. But he replies that when you hunt, you cannot give your prey a break. Ezekiel comes up to him and asks Lionel Millard, "What is your problem?" He asks the question as if he doesn't know it's even funny. The predator's eyes are glowing. Everything. Here is a walking problem. If so, let's get out of here before all the people in Amahant die out. A man really doesn't like it when he sits through something he doesn't know about, especially after he was betrayed by Tigress Commissars. Does he mean to say that he was once on friendly terms with Lionel, her father and the last king, who exterminated all the divine animals? The elf replies that this conversation will be unpleasant, even for people, so they will talk about it another time. Tiger warns Ease not to try to plot against him and his men. Do they really think he hasn't noticed that there is a connection between them? Little sister, that sounds funny and he should go along with it. The main character knew that lies wouldn't work on the man. Lionel gets up and walks around. The girl panics and asks him to wait for her. He stops for a second just before the exit. The man had always been open to her, but now she tried to deceive him. The characters went outside into a beautiful park. The sun was already beginning to set. The main character gains strength and turns to the man. But he has such a distant look. This is not the Lionel she is used to. He is a divine animal, not a human. So Hannah can't just spill the whole truth. Their feelings are not yet deep enough to be frank with him. Finally, the man turns around and asks pitifully if she is hiding anything. The man looks exhausted, and sad despair is boiling inside him. She's telling sweet lies again. How can she hide anything from him? Disappointment. And what about Ezekiel Escott? What is her connection with him? Did Lionel just imagine it? Her eyes are like the eyes of that elf. Not only them, actually, habits, character, manner of speech. Even facial expressions were similar. The man asks again, are they really just named brother and sister? The main character looked down. That fox with 3 tails was not mistaken. The divine beast begged to be told that he was just winding himself up. He continued to beg her to say that there was only a family relationship between them, and no feelings for each other. He begged me to say that he had misunderstood everything and was mistaken. Then it will be another lie on her account, should she just accept it. His eyes look like tears are about to flow. He asks, please, at least not to be silent. In the main character's subconscious, someone is calling her. She is little, that same little girl, but so strong. She asks why she can't pronounce the name Ezekiel. Why can't she tell him that everything is not like that at all? Who was he to her? Remember, the events take place in the past. Amahant Ez is sitting at the table and working. He turns his gaze from the papers down because he hears giggling. This is little Hannah, all beaming and showing off her drawing. She drew this in art class. Isn't it beautiful? The sheet depicts him and the main character together. The man praises the drawing and asks what the theme was. The girl doesn't want to talk. It's a secret, a mystery, a secret. As she promised, she came after school, so after lunch, he should tell her about his father. The main character became embarrassed. Could she say that there was nothing between them? In Amahanta, no one spoke to her. All they did was despise her. The only one who didn't do this after her father was Ezekiel. Does she remember that? Then he became the whole world for the girl. Each of her firsts belonged to him. And now he is her only family, father, brother, and also first love. The girl puts her hand to her heart and says that she really doesn't think anything about him. This is a lie. Lionel expected at least some trust, apparently in vain. This voice scared her to death. Her eyes widened. The divine beast exuded contempt, accumulating hatred, or was it indifference? The main character rushes to him and asks to look at her. Lionel Millard, please. She tries to grab his hand, still screaming his name. Here she remembers her father's words. Do not covet what belongs to others. Do not be greedy. Hannah. The girl bites her lip. It's not funny at all. She lunges forward and finds herself in front of the man, grabbing his face. Actually, the one she likes is him. Hannah loves Lionel. The divine beast calms down. The murderous aura disappears. Finally, he waited for these words. He wanted to hear them so much. Here she is, caught. The man kisses the main character on the lips. They find themselves in a flower field. The beautiful flowers have just opened. They enjoy the moment, as little children call each other by name. The divine beast continues to eat, Hannah kissing her from head to toe. And she doesn't mind. She grabs him by the neck and pulls him even closer to her. Lionel loves her touch so much, every movement of her body is enchanting. Her soft and silky skin, slightly rough lips, small nose, and dark eyes wet with tears. The man stands over the girl and says that now she can't escape. He licks the main character's cheek, enjoying it more and more, but she feels somehow awkward and moves away. Who kisses for so long? Then Lionel suggests doing something else. But that's not what Hannah had in mind. What if someone sees them now? People don't do things like that in front of others. The divine beast is assertive, so it's possible, but not in front of everyone. And then he snaps his fingers using his magical power. Now they are in an imaginary place, but all their actions will be real. Pleasant white sparks seem to fall on a blue background. The man touches the main character's face, after which he asks, can they continue now? The girl is angry and panicking. Is it possible that he only has obscenities in his head? Lionel asks Hannah not to move as he pulls a petal out of her hair. The man's face turned very red, and he found it difficult to control himself. She is not ready for this now, so the divine beast will not press. He holds out his hand and asks if he can afford even this. Hannah wants to accept it at first, but then stops. Is it worth it? It was a joke. Why would she go and wash herself now? After all, she was covered in mud. The girl walks down the corridor alone and thinks that if everything continues like this, then there will be no other choice but to continue to deceive. She comes back to Ezekiel's office, and they need to talk. The main character wants to get straight to the point, but she is stopped. Before starting a conversation, the elf uses soundproofing magic. A barrier appears behind it. They definitely won't be heard. Hannah asks if he can continue to deceive Lionel by saying that they are brother and sister. Before this, Ezekiel asks to tell her what kind of relationship she has with the divine beast. The main character answers honestly, and without a doubt, they have feelings for each other. For some time, the head of the elves remains silent. But what about their age difference due to longevity? A divine animal must die someday, just like a human. But Hannah will never know how much time she has left, because she is an unknown. She replies, well, she somehow lived for more than 100 years. She will cope in the future.